Hey everyone, Pupsker here, and today in Warframe, we're doing the perfect 2023 best Warframes tier list, right? We're going over all the Warframes, we're tier listing them one by one. We'll start from top to bottom, Ash to, Zephyr technically. We're not doing any of these because they aren't technically actual Warframes, but that's okay. We're not doing like Archwings and Bone Widow, Necromex. No. We're only doing Warframes themselves. So as always, if you like the video, if you want to support the channel, like, sub, and check out any of the socials down below. We're gonna start off with Ash. I don't know about you, but I've personally find Ash is a pretty good Warframe all in all. Might not be the best, but is definitely a good Warframe, right? He is a ninja bleeding assassin is his shtick. Overall decent stats, right? You have a shuriken, you throw them, do damage, nice. You have a smoke screen, hide, do damage, mwah, beautiful. Good for like any sort of stealth mission, naturally. Teleport, maybe your least useful skill, depending. I don't give a flying F about it. Useless to me, but maybe you want to use it. It's only mobility for most, but hey, it can have more uses. And then you have your Blade Storm. Pretty good, right? Just AoE, hit enemies, they die. All of his abilities work well together. He has good augment mods, so later on he does become a lot stronger. Works well for endurance missions as well because of what I think is like armor strip, but maybe not the best frame overall, but still really good. He is pretty solidly either like B to A, depending on if you like him more. I'm gonna give Ash probably like a B+. I very much favor Warframes with invisibility because you can stay stealthed a lot, and he has assassination skills, and once you get armor shredding shurikens, these are actually useful. So the general kit could be better, but it's still pretty good. So I would give ya boy Ash a B+. Still a good Warframe, but maybe could be better. The second Warframe we have here is Atlas. So Atlas is a punchy boy through and through. He is a rock solid man, right? Very, very rock solid, punchy boy. Entire kit is be strong, punch hard, and kill the enemies. So where are we looking at him, right? Look at that, the passive is just being immune to knockdown. Landslide is the punchiness, right? Mwah. You wanna punch? You play Atlas, right? No point, by the way, looking at the base stats here because it's like rank 0 when you look in the codex, but just remember that. Gets stronger once you get some augment mods overall, but Rumble is, sorry. Atlas is kind of a weird Warframe with has entire shtick of punch and be a rock boy. I'm not mad at it though, but it definitely takes a certain type of player to like playing Atlas. Petrify, you can freeze him, punch him to death, heal your rumblers, and you have like AI little companions. So all in all, Atlas is like good, but he's weird, he's not meta, he's like whatever. He's okay, right? Every Warframe luckily is good, but how good? So I would probably rate him a little lower in general, right? Like Atlas isn't amazing, but he's fun to play if you like him. So I would maybe put him in like a B- tier, right? A lot of Warframes you're gonna find out probably belong in like the B tier without a doubt because they're usable and they're good. But it's like how good they become, do you like using them? It all depends. So if you really like Atlas, he could be S tier frame. But for me, with how his kit works, if you like being a little punchy boy, probably throw him down in like a B-. But that's the thing. Remember, it's all gonna be up to personal opinion. So Atlas, you get a little B-, rock solid though. Mwah, rock solid. And again, reminder, the prime variants of Warframes are just better because they have slightly better stats. So the like A, B, C rotation, sorry, not rotation, A, B, C, D ranking wouldn't change, right? It's the same. So Banshee Prime, same. Now, Banshee. Banshee's a really good frame if you like her kit. I don't use her a ton, but it's very good. Mwah. AoE, little CC, some confusion with the enemies, right? Weapon noises are hushed, so enemies cannot hear them. In theory, that could be good for a lot of different things, right? Could be good for just going around, killing things, right? Pretty normal, right? You have Sonic Boom. This is like meh, just AoE forward punchies, right? Sonar is where it really starts ramping up, right? Look at that damage multiplier. Great damage multiplier. And then once you get silence, right, you're even quieter. It makes doing more silence stealth missions a little easier. And then you have AoE on Soundquake, right? Just some AoE CC. So Banshee's pretty good. I like Banshee a lot, especially with like her sonar, right? A lot of people really like using her. Once you get augments, it really enhances her even more, but I'm not a massive Banshee player, which is unfortunate. I think each Warframe you could pretty easily throw 10 hours into to get a good feeling of them, but that just takes so much time with 52 Warframes. So a lot of us tend to just go with the Warframes we like. Banshee, high AoE damage, CC, right? That's the kind of shtick that she has. So if you want damage, CC, and AoE, probably a good idea to stick with her. I'll throw her solidly in B tier just because I do not play her enough, but she is very strong if you like her kit. So, you know, maybe mess around with her, figure it out, pick up some augment mods, and go around slaughtering some enemies. It's important to note most Warframes at this point have 2 to 4 augment mods, right? Each of them have a good chunk of them. So there's a lot of different things you can start doing with Warframes depending once you actually start collecting those augment mods. So Banshee, solid B, could be higher, could be lower, depending on if you like using her more. Baruuk. Recently, we got Baruuk Prime, so what a nice one to go over. Baruuk is the pacifist monk, right? Look at that. Oh, as Baruuk restraint is diminished, he becomes up to 50% more resistant to damage. So he is also a punchy boy, much like Atlas. He uses his harmonic fists to just forward punch the air. Really good Warframe overall. I'm not a massive Baruuk player either, but I did have a lot of fun on the Baruuk Prime release playing it. Look at that. The first one is just straight up dodge incoming projectiles, but it's not while you're attacking. So it's kind of like passively. It's nice though, not as bad, but it could be better. Lull just is an AoE sleep, right? You might think, oh, that sucks because they're awoken when they're damaged. It doesn't suck when they're awoken on their damage because they die half the time when you damage them and when they wake up and they're disoriented. So really good Warframe in that regard, right? Desolate Hands is, this is actually a really nice one. So this is like an AoE attack that destroys enemy weapons. It just run around and it destroys them. And it makes it so that you're a lot harder to kill, right? So would recommend getting a lot of range on Baruuk for like a lot of his skills. And then finally you get Serene Storm, which is throwing exalted fists. This works the exact same as Excalibur, Umbra, and other exalted weapons in Warframe. Mod the Serene Storm fists however you want. You get damage reduction as well, because Baruuk is a tanky boy. He might not seem tanky, but a lot of his abilities are tanky abilities. 1, 2, 3, 4. All of his abilities, one way or another, is tanky. Exactly. Once you get augment mods, Reactive Storm, he becomes so much stronger. So Baruuk is definitely a good frame. I would throw him in the A tier, okay? I'm throwing Baruuk A, very good frame. Probably could also be thrown into S tier depending on how much you like him because of how his kit works. You have sleeps, you have weapon destruction, you have damage reduction, and you have ranged melee, right? All really good, so he could definitely go into S if you're into that, but I would more so throw your boy into an A tier frame because, you know, not a massive Baruuk player, but still very good. Let me know what you think. These are, again, all gonna be different and everyone will agree, disagree, so yeah, don't take it too seriously. And if you want to start wars in the comments section, make sure to bring high quality pitchforks and torches. Next up, we have, sorry, Bone Widow, we have Caliban. Ooh, Caliban, the sentient, right? So Caliban is also a pretty cool frame with a nice spinning top. The passive is just some more resistance while taking damage. Okay, okay. First one, you have Razor Gyre. You just AoE, spin and cut, right? I don't really care for this ability, but it's fun to use, and you do heal, right? So not bad, not bad. Sentient Wrath, I would say overall is pretty good. It's an AoE CC, and enemies take more damage, right? Like what else could you want from that? The issue is it hits a maximum amount of targets, so it can be a little annoying for sure, right? A little annoying. Then you have his third ability, which is, that's right, you just spawn up sentience. There's a handful of Warframes that just spawn up an enemy. I like having sentience. They shield, they heal, right? And they are other targets for enemies, so I always like having like little AI enemies to take away the pain. And then the fourth ability, sorry, Fusion Strike. It's a debuff, and it's pretty much like a converging Kamehameha wave. You throw out your 3 Kamehameha waves, they go into the middle. It's great. I love it. I'm not a huge Caliban player, and I haven't actually played Caliban in quite some time, because I generally stick to my 10 Warframes that I love. But Caliban is really good. As you can see, Caliban has a good amount of damage increase and or armor strip damage, well, just damage increase, right? Or armor strip. Yeah, that one's armor strip, and this one's damage increase. So he does actually have a good amount of abilities to just make it so that enemies take more damage. Also has CC, which is nice. These other 2 abilities kind of take off the edge and then heal you as well, so it is really nice. For Caliban, might not be the biggest player of Caliban, and I wouldn't really quite throw him in A tier, but I do still think Caliban is really good. So I would throw Caliban as like B+, okay? Without a doubt, good, really strong frame. Should probably use him if you like how his kit works, but some of his abilities might be lackluster in your opinion, right? While Razor Gyre might be fun, the damage is a little shitty once you get to a little higher level, so it's mainly just used to heal and take the edge off, right? It all really depends, but once you get some augment mods, you get even stronger. So Caliban probably B+, okay? We haven't come across many garbage tier frames at all yet because there aren't that many of them. But now we have Chroma. Chroma has one ability which is really, really awesome, which is Effigy. Has a chance to essentially increase the amount of credits the enemies drop. Right? Really good. It also buffs up in general, but nothing like amazing. It buffs, debuffs, right? It is really good. But it does have a really high drain, yada yada. Yeah, people do not like Chroma, to my knowledge, in general, because the kit is kind of annoying. You get an additional jump for an, yeah, okay, cool passive, awesome. The first ability kind of sucks. It's just like a status spreading ability. The idea is you kind of always have that active running around, breathing fire. It doesn't do insane amounts of damage, but it doesn't do terrible amounts of damage. It's a status spreader, right? Second ability is pretty interesting. Chroma and nearby allies are imbued with defensive energy. So this is just pretty much AoE defenses, buffs, etc. You can see the breadth of it. Damage increases, right? Armor increases, health per second, status chant increases depending on what you want to throw on. Overall, I think it's a really good ability. I would recommend, and I really like it. I think a lot of people shit on Chroma a lot, but that's just because a lot of his kit is passive. You have your third ability, which is another passive, and this one's Vex Armor. When shields are hit, Chroma and nearby allies grow, armor grows stronger. When health takes hit, weapon damage increase, right? So you get armor increase or damage increase. So, hey, while a lot of people might not like Chroma, overall, I think Chroma has a really strong and solid kit. But I don't think they like him because of how like hands-off his kit is. Seriously, it's just all passives. You throw down Effigy, don't have to interact with it. You throw down your Vex Armor, don't interact with it. You throw on your second ability, you don't interact with it. And then you throw on your first ability, and you don't interact with it. Based on just the buffs of everything, Chroma, honestly, probably deserves like A tier, A-, because the entirety of his kit is straight up buffing the team, buffing himself, and helping out allies in such a wide variety of buffs. It's just, he's such a boring Warframe to play. The buffs are great, don't get me wrong, but he's just such a boring Warframe to play because he's the passive Warframe in every sense of the imagination. He is not an active skill Warframe. You use his skills and then you shoot with guns. So if you want a pure defensive, offensive buffing frame, and like one that can get you some more credits, hey, maybe Chroma is good for you. While I would say he's A tier again, other people find him very, very boring, right? Like very, very boring. So yeah, the only thing you have to do on him is rebuff and shoot enemies. People don't really like that all the time. So let me know what you think. I would still rate Chroma as A, but I still wish his Effigy had 100% credit chance because it doesn't have a 100% extra credit chance, and that makes me sad. It's only like 60% on max rank. Either way, Chroma's still really strong, A tier. Mwah. We have a lot more Warframes to go, everyone. We are only at now Citrine, and we're about 15 minutes in, so buckle up, buckaroos. This is gonna take some time. So now we have Citrine, more of a recent frame and also a very strong frame based around gems, has a turret, has some heals, has energy and health orb drop, depending on how you feel like using her. I'm going to throw her probably pretty high. And her passive is even better. Pick up health orb, increase health regeneration for up to a maximum of 25. Imagine 25 health per second passively. It's pretty useful, not like godly or anything, but that's pretty nice overall. Fractured Blast, do some damage, but you want that health orb, energy orb drop, right? That's what you use this for. Love it. Good support ability for you and your team. Second ability is amazing damage reduction up to 90%, and you pretty much keep that on forever. So awesome, godly damage reduction without a doubt. Just don't get hit with nullifying orbs. Those things are Satan, right? And then you have your gem, which is amazing status spread and good damage, right? Might not be the highest of damage, but her damage is without a doubt good enough to run anything Steel Path, no issues. Finally, her ultimate ability, fourth ability, which is Crystallize. That's right. The game devs were like, you know what? We made her a godly support tank. Why don't we give her a stun that when hitting enemies on the crystals, you get 300% critical chance. So they made her kind of godly in a lot of different ways. She is a really good support tank that also dishes out good chunks of damage. Warframe seemingly wanted to make her a very strong jack of all trades, right? She heals energy, health through her abilities. She tanks through her abilities. She does passive damage through her turret abilities, and she does active stuns and increased damage. So yeah, she's really good. I would give her, I would give her like an A+. She could even be S tier if you really like her kit, because it just works really well. You wouldn't want to take anything off of her kit. It meshes really, really well together. So I would be willing to give her an S tier based on how well all of her abilities work and mesh well together. But personally, she's probably like an A+. It's where I'd give most of the Warframes. But like, gosh, she's still so good. Plus with the damage reduction, you can even stack on adaptation. You can stack on so many things, right? So many things. So you never really know. Either way, 10 out of 10, would recommend. A+ Citrine right there, or S depending on if you like her a lot. Now we have Ember. Not a huge Ember player at all. She's, to my knowledge, a pretty interesting, good AoE fire damage frame. She went through a recent rework in the last like year or so, but I don't think it really wrecked her or anything, right? First ability is kind of whatever. It's not terrible, but it's kind of whatever. You throw out a nice fireball, right? Can't be too mad. Her passive is pretty good. 5 ability strength for every enemy with a 50 meters engulfed in flame. So she just gets a ton of fire. I don't know if you could tell, but her idea is AoE fire. It's no shock there. She is Ember. Immolation, right? She just throws on flame armor. And she gets damage reduction, right? Pretty good overall. It's not as good as Citrine's godly damage reduction, but it is still really good, and it builds up really well, so mwah. Then you have your Fire Blast. This is when things start getting pretty nice, because she gets straight up armor strip, right? And a good radius of damage, so this is where she starts popping off. Once you get armor strip on your Fire Blast, you look at your Inferno on your 4, and you're like, my god, she is amazing, right? Because her fourth ability is just straight up AoE nuking damage. So that's how you run her, right? You throw on her her second ability, you cast your third ability to armor strip, and then you cast your fourth to kill people. She's really good. I can't remember if people really like her now or kind of don't like her after her rework, right? Because she's never been a Warframe I paid enough attention to. Still really strong. Still very good for AoE map clears. Maybe falls off at a higher level, but still with that nice armor reduction, it definitely helps a lot. So I'd probably give her another like A+ or A. Yeah, I'll give Ember an A. A solid A because of how much I use her. I do like her kit, and it works and meshes well with inherent armor reduction, right? So it's really good. Once you get augment mods, then you can destroy even better. So people might throw her S tier as well. No shock there, but I'm gonna put her in A. Look at those fire hands, just without a doubt, really good. Would recommend. Okay, but I don't play her a lot. This is the case with a lot of Warframes. Now we have Equinox. So Equinox is a very interesting Warframe, right? Because of the amount of like abilities Equinox has. Equinox has day and night mode, which is like Gyre Equinox, girl Equinox. And then Equinox has the mixed form, right? One is defense, one is offense, and one is a little bit of a mix of both. It's pretty nice in that regard. You have a lot of different things to do. The general idea is you get damage increase or you get shield increase, or you can go middle and have like a little bit of both for a sec. Either way. This one, day, damage increase. Night, waketh health threshold, right? It's a lot of different stuff, right? Sleep, stay awake, pacify, provoke, right? Strength increase, damage increase. Equinox is a pretty good Warframe, okay? You can't be too mad. And then finally you have your last ability, which is even more damage multipliers and shields. So if you like Equinox, right, you'll probably throw her in A tier. I don't know if people throw her in S tier, but I'm definitely still throwing Equinox in A. You have a wide variety of abilities. They can stun the enemies a lot, right? You can increase your damage and you can heal yourself a ton. The nice thing of going in between day-night and like day-night form is that you can just play however you really feel like playing. Words are hard. So that means you can also build Equinox a billion different ways. And that's even before you get augment mods, right? So very strong Warframe. Should probably use really good support murderer, right? You can do a lot of stuff. Mainly use Equinox as a support or sleep finisher spammer. Yeah, she's a really good enemy. Really good enemy. If you like her. If you like her. But him, her, them, technically. Yeah, I would still give Equinox an A. Mwah, beautiful Warframe. Excalibur. Oh, here's a spicy one, right? So Excalibur is an interesting Warframe. Both good and, you know, less good, but we'll see. The nice thing is, he's an Excalibur. So his passive is just essentially faster attack and more damage with swords. The first ability is his least useful because it's just attacking. And then Radial Blind blinds people, right? Very nice, not the best, but it's still very nice, right? Just having a straight up blind. Your third ability is more CC and damage. I think most people agree that his third and first ability are his least useful. You can build them up if you want to and throw augment mods on, but still less useful. And then you have his fourth ability, which is an Exalted Blade, right? It's a really strong weapon, and it has a decent enough range on it, so without a doubt, pretty good. The issue with Excalibur is just his kit is very basic, and it's not bad, it's just basic and easy and like mid, right? The sword is the best part about his kit. He has an AoE forward attacking sword that shoots out pulses, and you can slash attack to stun everyone, right? Once you get augment mods, it just makes his abilities a little stronger, but overall, Excal isn't like a godly Warframe. He is the poster boy of Warframe, and I would put him solidly as like a B tier Warframe. He has some good abilities, but nothing's like godly. His best abilities is Exalted Blade, and it's how most people play him, and it's really good, but again, it's not godly, right? It's still really good, but it could be better. And then you just have a good stun blind so you can run around and melee people. Really good kit, works well together. Some of the abilities are less great, right? Radial Javelin you'll mainly use for CC, but it could still be a lot better. And it could have a higher range, but good frame overall, could work a little better, could work a little worse, but overall really strong. That's why I said in the beginning that like anything B tier plus is really good, useful, usable. Anything in Warframe is pretty much usable, and tier lists are more up to like opinions because, hey, Excal, freaking love the dude, but he's definitely like more of a B tier frame. But use whatever you feel like. As always, I still love you boy Excalibur. On to Frost. Okay. So the issue with Frost is he is an old Warframe that has not gotten any love from the Warframe developers. Frost is essentially what happens when you don't update a game long enough and just replace something. Frost is essentially a worse any other Warframe. He's a worse Gara. He's worse at stunning and freezing than other Warframes. He's just not good, right? The passive is striking Frost with a melee attack, 10% freeze the attacker for 20 seconds, right? Pretty shitty because you don't want to get meleeed a ton anyways, right? Freeze, you can stun, freeze enemies, so if you like that individually, cool. Ice Wave, you can go forward punch and stun, damage some people. It's pretty bad though, it doesn't do much damage, so that's only good for lower levels, right? Snow Globe is nice, but it's also very weak and kind of bad. Everyone just kind of shoots at it, but you can still buff it and make it stronger. So the thing is though, like Snow Globe, why use Snow Globe if you can just use Gara or Limbo, right? The issue with Snow Globe is just bad because you have better alternatives to it. But if you like it, you like it. And then finally you have his Avalanche, which I would say is the best ability because it has armor reduction, it has AoE, and it stuns people, right? Freezes, stuns, call it what you will. So while his Frost might be bad, might be good, I just feel like a lot of his abilities are other Warframe abilities, but worse. So Avalanche, while it is good, it takes a long time to actually use it. It has a really long like lead up, so you'd want more casting speed type stuff, right? There's just a lot of things annoying, and Frost just feels like an old Warframe. He's still good though, but I would still put him as like a C tier frame, right? So, first C tier, like second C tier frame. Why is Frost C tier? Everyone else just does his kit better. That's the issue, right? Other people are just better at his kit. You have better AoEs, you have better stuns, freezes, armor strips, and it just takes a lot. That's true. Cold procs did get buffed, and armor strip is now a little better. But yeah, I'm still not a massive fan of Frost. He's still very good, and he does excel more for early game. Once you get higher level, he definitely falls off more, but he's still a good frame. I would still put him C tier because I just feel like other Warframes, Gara, Limbo, right? They just do his type of kit better because Snow Globe and other stuns, yeah, it's all slow, not quite as good, but still good if you like it, right? That's why it's like never take anything too seriously. Warframe's a game for fun to destroy and murder all of the enemies, right? Without a doubt. So yeah, remember that. Now we have Gara, which is kind of funny because Gara and Frost are kind of a similar Warframe, right? You have a third ability right there, which is similar to a little bubble, but not. No, the real one is Splinter Storm. So Gara, she is the glass damagey tanky frame, IMO, right? You have passive, chance to create a radial blind lasting 10 seconds when exposed to bright light. I can't speak because glass frame, right? Understandable. You got your little glass whip. It hurts. It does damage. Okay, and I think its stats are boosted by the equipped melee weapons mod. Yeah, it is affected by your melee, so that can actually be much stronger if you have good melee stuff going on, right? Then you have your Splinter Storm, which is activated. I think it goes on to you or allies, and then it just kind of attacks enemies and hurts them as well. So it's overall really good because damage reduction, damage increase, hurts enemies, right? It's a great ability. Along with then your Spectrage, right? This is great. You just throw it on the enemies, it just kind of goes around them and they shoot the mirrors. I would say this is probably like one of the least cool abilities. It's just nice to like hang up some enemies while you're doing something else, but less great. Her fourth ability though, awesome. So this is essentially Frost Bubble type thing. You just have AoE expanding glass that works similarly to a Frost Bubble, right? Which is really nice. Hitting enemies while crystallizing makes it stronger, and then you hit it and it explodes. Enemies hits takes more damage, right? So overall, she's just a way better Frost, which is why Frost could even go in like D tier, right? Because it's like, why play Frost when you can play Glass Frost? Or why play Frost when you can play Interdimensional Frost, Limbo, right? So that's the issue with Frost. Just a worse version of other frames now, and that's just because he was earlier on. He can stay the way he is and never change, and he'll still be good, usable, and fine. It's just other Warframes are better than him. Either way, Gara, overall, really good frame. We'll give her an A because of how usable and how strong she is. Warframe started creating a lot stronger Warframes later on, after like the first handful of years, and then they even started updating Warframes to be a lot stronger. So the power fantasy and the power vacuum of Warframe definitely started increasing as time went on, and now everything in Warframe is so ridiculously strong that even the worst frames are pretty strong and usable, like Frost, right? That's the thing. He still has armor strip and still has a decent enough kit that if you like it, you can get to Steel Path endgame no problem. But it'll be more effort, so, you know. Good Gara, 10 out of 10. Ooh, now we have a Garuda, Blood Mommy Prime, right? Very interesting frame. I like her. The idea is AoE attacks, blood, you have some defensive, you go and melee attack everyone. She just likes to bloodlet people, right? It's awesome. I love her, but I don't play her as much as I should. It seems like the case with everyone. You pretty much just kill everyone. Damage increase with enemies you kill. Yeah, slashes with her talons if no melee weapon is equipped. She even has exalted talons, right? Mwah. I love her kit, and I love Blood Mom. So, her first ability is essentially murder kill someone and create a nice blood shield in front of you, right? Sweet, increased damage, right? Nice, nice. And it weakens the enemy. And then you can charge the like blood damage and whatnot that you've accumulated and throw it forward for like an AoE explosion. And it does do a lot of damage if you properly get a lot of damage off, right? So it's really nice, right? It's really nice. Just make sure enemies attack at you with that and then kill them. So really good. Then you have your Blood Altar, which is just AoE heals essentially. It's nice. It's nice. And also does damage per second, right? You gotta bloodlet those enemies. So this is just an AoE health ward, and I'm all for it. Also really good, it heals you and allies, of course. So really good, love it. Then you have Bloodletting again. This is just straight up, she stabs herself and gets more energy. So she'll never run out of energy if you're properly using her kit, because if you're properly using her kit, you're constantly stabbing, bleeding out, and healing off of the enemies, right? So you can just get more energy. So you don't even need a ton of efficiency. You might even want less efficiency. And her last abilities is just straight up AoE target slashing blades that make the enemy bleed. They're really good, right? I believe you can either hold it to just do it AoE, or no, you can tap it to do AoE, or you can hold it to do it in like a little area. So it is really good, and it is really targeted too. So yeah, I don't know if you can tell. The entire kit around Garuda is heals, bleed, and stab. She's really fun, really great, but she does fall off more in Steel Path because she doesn't have any sort of like inherent, just off the top of my head, yeah, doesn't have any sort of inherent armor reduction, but that's okay. Once you get some augment mods, she'll definitely be a lot stronger. I don't think with like bleed and a little bit of slash, she's just ridiculously OP, but once you get more augment mods, she'll be even stronger. I can't remember the exact depth of her augment mods, so while some people might put her S tier because they like her, she definitely doesn't go that far. She falls off a little bit late, but she is still very fun to play and very good at killing. So what would you give her? Well, probably like a solid B, right? Solid B to B+. I don't think she could go in A. I think her kit works really well. I just don't think it's like the best late game kit, and you can easily still get like clapped if something shoots you in the back once or twice, right? There's random enemies around that can still slap you. She doesn't have any massive like damage reductions. So yeah, I'd still put her as B, but she's still really good. You can throw her at A too if you want, right? That's the thing. Everyone depends. Once you get your augment mod, she'll be stronger anyways, so use her if you want, don't if you don't. I'm still gonna put her as B because she's a really good strong frame. So yeah, people will probably yell about that one, but that's okay. That is Garuda. Where are we at? Okay, we're at Garuda. Wow, we're getting a good chunk of the Warframes down. We might get this down in like 3 hours, or sorry, 2 hours, but hey, who knows? Now we have Speedy Boy Gauss. So Gauss is amazing. Gauss did come with Plains of Eidolon. So that was almost like 4 years ago. Yeah, about 4 years ago, which is pretty nice. And with that, we also got Plains of Eidolon. So let's take a look at her kit, right? All in all, his kit. Fast Warframe, right? Moving fast, generate shields. Shields recharge faster, recharge delays decreased, right? Gauss is fast. You want to move. He's like Volt. He's Volt 2, Electric Boogaloo. First ability is just run fast and, yeah, explode when you stop doing some damage. Cool ability to run fast. Not as useful for the damage, but you know how it'd be. All in all, nice. Second ability, really nice because it's just straight up damage reduction and like you get more energy kind of setup based on, is it damage? Absorbed kinetic damage. Okay, yeah. It's based on the damage you get hit. So really good damage reduction, would recommend. 100% really good. Whenever a Warframe just has flat damage reduction like this, you know they're gonna be busted or like really useful or broken. Third ability, Thermal Sunder. So it's just a AoE status and hit, right? Pretty good overall if you want to throw on some status all at once onto the enemies. Not 100% necessary. I think if anything, you I would assume you usually want to like Helminth off his first or third ability, but I'm not a massive Gauss player either way, but he is really good, right? So you have his main ability with 2 with damage reduction and then 4. So 4 is really OP. All of this is like based off his battery too, so you do have to charge his battery so his skills hit at the higher level. So 4th ability is insane. Fire rate, attack speed, reload speed, casting speed, and it does like a little bit of AoE. When past the red line, bolts of arcing electricity dance periodically from Gauss. Yeah, when you're fast AF, boy, he does a lot, right? Yeah, once you get augment mods, his 3rd does armor strip. So gets a lot stronger with augment mods like other Warframes. Gauss, you probably thought I might put him in a smaller tier, but no, Gauss is a pretty A tier frame and S tier frame for a lot of people, right? Pretty solidly could go S or A. It always depends, right? Has armor reduction, has just straight up insane buffs. People like using his abilities, right? Throwing around little AoE stuns and statuses, running around quickly with his first ability to get his battery up. Oh, you need 100% battery to strip with that? Okay, gotcha. So, overall, really good still. I'm still gonna put Gauss as like A tier. A lot of people would also throw him as S tier, and that's understandable, right? With his 4th ability being such a good buff, and all of the damage reduction and then building with the 3rd, he is really good. Without a doubt, a top tier frame like many others, so you can throw him in S tier pretty solidly, most likely, and have no issues at all. But I'll throw Gauss in an A tier. I still think he's really good, love to play him. I'm just not the biggest of Gauss players, but you'll see a lot of people would probably rate him S. He is a fan favorite amongst most people, and has a really good fast kit where you can just do constant damage, constantly move around, and yeah, you don't even really have to worry about dying too much, but it always depends on who you are as a person. So A tier on Gauss for moi. Some people will agree, some will disagree. Next, we have Grendel. So Grendel is our chonky, hungry boy who got reworked earlier this year, last year? I don't know, it all blends the same. But in the past year, Grendel got reworked. Overall, I think now Grendel is a pretty decent frame. Used to be like pretty bad, and now is pretty good and usable. So let's take a look quickly, right? Passive is just you get armor based on enemies consumed. So you can eat up to now 5 enemies, which is 1250 increased armor, which is a lot, right? Feast, first ability, you just eat people and then passively do damage to them. You always want to eat people, right? Grendel is essentially a male prostitute, just getting paid to eat people constantly, right? 10 out of 10 would do again. Next, you have Nourish, which is amazing, right? Just buffs, damage increase, energy multiplier, AoE damage. It is just a sweet viral damage buff. So really good. It goes to squad mates as well, and it overall lasts a while. So Nourish is really good. Pulverize is less good. This is his fun gimmick ability. It used to be a lot worse, and it's actually been made better, but it still sucks. So you essentially turn into a ball, go around hitting everyone and killing them. This is good for healing, this is good because it gives damage reduction, and it's good for movement. Obviously, it's dog shit and it falls off late game for damage though, as it does not do high damage, right? But it's still good for the healing, damage reduction, and mobility. So yeah, use it less of a damage item or like damage ability later on, more of a mobility and heal item later on ability. I can't talk. So while it's not great, while it's not godly, it's still useful at a certain extent, and you become Sonic. Yep. Lastly, but not least, Regurgitate. This is good purely for that sweet, sweet armor reduction. Does some damage, of course, but obviously the main thing is armor reduction. The issue is Regurgitate is not spammable because you have to spit out people you've eaten. So you can only regurgitate up to 5 times in quick succession because you can only have 5 people eaten. And yeah, that's just kind of how that goes. But it is a really good armor reduction. So Grendel is probably pretty solidly these days like A to B tier. I'm gonna throw Grendel as B tier. I think he's a good usable frame now. Doesn't go above and beyond, but is a really cool frame and has like more of a gimmick shtick to his general kit with the rolly ball. So a lot better and a lot more usable now, but he's like not a god tier frame, but definitely would rate him a solid B, okay? solid B. So that's how Grendel works, and that's how Grendel B. Once you get some augment mods, yeah, abilities will be a little stronger, a little bit better usability, but I'm not a massive Grendel player. But that is ya boy, Grendel. Next, we have Gyre, the electrical crit Warframe, red crit electricity frame. Gyre is a somewhat recent frame in the past year or two, and her kit does revolve around doing electric damage and hitting those sweet, sweet red crits on enemies. So CC enemies together, hit them with all your electricity, and do damage. Once you do that, he should die. Oh, they should die. Gyre's abilities have a 10% chance to deal critical damage for each electrical status that affects the enemy. So again, that's why it's crit damage, crit lady, red crit Gyre. First ability is just a straight up AoE Tesla coil. It just does AoE electricity, right? Really useful, cool. Coil Horizon, this is the one that just kind of goes around and then is a little CC ball. The issue with this is it's not like a long-term CC. So it only pulls enemies into a vortex for like a second or two, which is a little annoying. So third ability is really good. It's just a straight up buff, buff, buff. Look at that. Increased crit chance, energy regen, kills extending it. So this one is really good. This just makes her the red crit god more so, right? Throw this ability on, get more crit, keep hitting enemies. It all stacks well together with your other abilities. So yeah, you can have this pretty much last forever as long as you kill everyone. All in all, really nice. And then you have your fourth ability, which is really good as well. It's just AoE electrical damage, right? When can you get mad at that? When Gyre gets a critical hit, that's right, electric discharge comes from under her skirt. This is definitely a questionable skill because of how the words they use, but yep, Gyre lifts her skirt up, and when you crit, you electrically discharge from under your skirt all over the enemies. Oh my god, that is a sentence and a half. So overall, she is really good. She has armor reduction, or sorry, not armor reduction. She has heals, armor, increased damage reduction type stuff, right, with her fourth ability, but not like inherent. So it's a little annoying, I'm trying to think if she has like any, but no, it's just because of how her abilities work. She gets buffed, so you do need to throw on more defensive stuff, but she has some CC, doesn't actually have armor. I lied, I'm evil. So yeah, she's still good, still does high damage. She's 100% a combat frame made for like crits and red crit. Could be stronger though. I would still throw her as a pretty like strong B tier frame though, right? She's pretty solid, but you just have to have an annoying build, usual shield gating type shenanigans. She is really strong though. Could use higher range, could use, you know, maybe a different set of buffs to her abilities. They do a little bit more, but yeah, the idea is hit enemies with electricity, hit them with CC, and then have your buffs on. She's a pretty basic, understandable frame. Still really strong. B tier though, as I would say. Would use, again, I can't remember what her augment mods do. I think one buffs her Coil Horizon. Yeah, either way, she's still really good. Would recommend. Oh, where is she? Where am I looking? Oh, there it is. Next we have is Harrow. Oh geez, Harrow. So Harrow, to my knowledge, is that really nice headshot energy regen frame that does so much damage. So much damage. Has high crit headshot multipliers, overshield capacity doubled, start missions, and extra energy. Pretty good, pretty good. Condemn, you just do AoE. Each enemy held reinforces Harrow's shield. Rap, tap, tap. Also, the background music for Harrow is the best thing ever created, and it's super spooky. So, how does this work? Hit people, get shield, strong, right? Penance. Hit this, you just buff yourself, right? You just get a huge buff and start healing, right? Look at that. You get lifesteal, damage duration, fire rate, reload speed, initial heal. Great. Plus, the way he works is you essentially like constantly shield gate, right? With your condemn and everything. Then you have your little thurable, which, look at that. Huge headshot multiplier and energy drain, right? So you always want to be headshotting with Harrow because you'll be one-shotting with Harrow, right? Like, that's his kit. You're hitting headshots and you're one-shotting. Finally, you have Covenant, which is an AoE. Absorbs all damage, converts it to critical chance bonus for all those under the Covenant. Headshots are amplified even further. So, yeah, Harrow is S tier. He is an S tier frame for doing damage and doing headshots. He is so amazing, okay? So great if you want to kill enemies in the head. You are going to be one-shotting everything. So I'm throwing Harrow as S tier. You shield gate, you headshot, you do damage, and you have insane buffs, right? Issue is, I don't think the buffs last the longest with penance and stuff. So he is an active frame. You're going to be casting spells a lot, but you're going to be killing enemies very quickly. So Harrow, S tier, even without augment mods. And then you just go and kill everyone. The background music for Harrow is the spookiest because the Harrow quest is scary and I love it so much. I really wish Warframe would do more horror aspects, things like they did with Harrow, but alas. Either way, S tier frame right there. I love Harrow. And you are going to be killing everyone with headshots. Now, we are on to Hildryn. Ooh, so Hildryn is Shield Muscle Mommy Prime. Well, Shield Muscle Mommy, no need to say Prime, right? Look at that. Look at that. So good. So good. So without a doubt, she's gonna be doing good stuff, but we'll take a look at her abilities. Become invulnerable for a brief moment after shields are depleted. So shield gating. This ability is restored when shields fully recharge. That's right, her passive is pretty much a shield gate. Kind of funny, but oh well, kind of funny. Next, first, we have Balefire. So this one is just you charging and shooting off your gun, essentially. You just float around and shoot people. Your gun is the Balefire, and you do get to charge and mod that up, so remember that. Pillage is an AoE. And you just steal. Pillage a percentage of shields and armor of nearby enemies to replenish Hildryn's own shields and overshields. So this is essentially just you drain shields from enemies. High AoE, instantly restore your shield. Mwah. Great, right? All gets much stronger the higher level you are. Once you have better builds, better augment mods, that's okay. But this is essentially just like, oh, you want shield? Have shield, right? Third ability. Haven, create a shield aura around allies. Enemies that approach shielded allies will take damage, right? Look at that. It's good. Good damage, good recharge, 100%, very nice. So good buffs to your allies and such off Haven, so would recommend. And then last but not least, you have Aegis Storm. This just turns you into a literal god. You go around, flying around, you AoE enemies into the air, they create energy orbs, and then you shoot at them. When shields run out, the enemies are smashed into the ground, right? So they get lifted up when their shields are up, and then they get smashed into the ground. So it's good AoE CC if you want to use it like that. I still haven't figured out how to be like godly with Hildryn. I've just like casually played around with her and messed around. I think the idea is you go around absorbing shields, shooting people, and using your abilities for buffs. Like, she's pretty good. I don't know exactly how I would rate her if I played her more, but I'm gonna throw her pretty solidly into A tier for now, if you like using her general kit, right? She's good for like a team and good to restore all those shields, and she is Shield Gate Muscle Mommy Prime, so I'm throwing her in A, okay? Some people hate her, some people love her, but if you like her shtick of flying around, shooting enemies, and doing that, great. Her main issue, though, is if enemies aren't shield enemies, like, if you're fighting infested, she kind of sucks. So don't fight infested with her, because that's, like, legitimately the worst part about her, is her kit entirely revolves around the enemies also having shields. So if you're going on a map with no shields, with like only infested enemies, don't bother. Just don't use her. She's less fun. It's not fine. I would say she's an A tier regularly, and then an F tier if you're fighting infested, because of how stupid her kit works in regards to that. But hey, that's my opinion. Let me know what you think. It is what it is. So regular A tier against infested, maybe not. Luckily, infested are really easy to kill anyways, but just reminder, she is not the infested killer. So that's Hildryn for you. Man, I love Hildryn, but she's goofy. Okay, so we're about a good chunk of the way through. Reminder, there is 52 Warframes in total, so we are going to keep on going. We're reaching about a third of the way through, about 50 minutes in so far. Not bad. Here we have Hydroid. Oh boy. So what's everyone's opinion on Hydroid? Yeah, I know, right? Whew. Hydroid is the mud puddle Warframe. Funkin' dog shit Warframe. Actually the worst Warframe in the game right now. IMO. So, slime attacks have a 50% chance to summon a tentacle. He is Hildryn the tentacle monster. The tentacles do some damage. Not much. Then you have Tempest Barrage. It just does some water damage, right? Okay, cool. Could be better, could be worse. Just some damage. This one, Tidal Surge, you just forward, you hit enemies with some damage. Okay, you know, you hit them with some damage. Good thing all of his damage is impact, so it's the least good. But, you know, let's not worry about it. Let's not worry about it. Energy Drain is borked right now, so you can't see it when modding. It's really funny. Next, we have Undertow, which also sucks. Because, why does Undertow suck? It means you can't kill enemies and you can't play the game. So it does damage per second for a percentile, but even with max strength, the damage per second isn't high enough. So this essentially means you're a mud puddle, a literal mud puddle, and you do some damage. And then last but not least, you have Tentacle Swarm, which spawns tentacles everywhere, and they hit enemies with damage. The issue is it's just so weak and so small that it kind of sucks. So yeah, charge to increase the number of tentacles and spawn area. Use while in Undertow to have the tentacle emerge from the pool. So in theory, his kit could be better, but the numbers are really low. It's a really bad AFK Warframe, and it's just not a good play style of Warframe. Because seemingly the way you want to play Hydroid is throw down your like first, second ability, hide in your mud puddle, and throw down your tentacles. He is actively a Warframe they do not want you to play. So he is the worst playstyle of any Warframe, the least like usable Warframe, lowest damage, and it's just, his kit does not go well together, okay? I would always disrespect Hydroid 100% of the time. He is the one frame I would just give, again, an F tier to, because he's just useless, right? There's no point in playing him, ever. Like, ever. I just never have seen why you'd bother playing Hydroid. I've seen some crazy low range builds. That's still bad, though. What? You want Hydroid doing little bits of damage in one area? So you just gotta kite everyone towards you? Yeah, his kit just sucks. It doesn't have good anything. It just has an issue. It works better once you get the helmet involved, like with anything, of course, but inherently, Hildryn's an F. He's a failure. Hydroid, sorry. Hydroid is an F. He's a failure of a Warframe now, and he needs a rework, right? He is not a good Warframe at all. In any imagination, I wouldn't bother playing him other than to just get some mastery rank. There's not a single thing I like doing. What if he stealth when a puddle? Ooh, cool. Yeah, he sucks. They really need to fix him. It is what it is. Next, we have your boy Inaros. Essentially a sand tank, right? I don't like Inaros, but some people might. Works better for lower level missions, sucks for higher levels because you can die too easily, but that is what it is. You can, when you're bleeding out, get revived. So let's see how his abilities work. First one, you essentially throw sand, blind enemies for a sec, do some lifesteal, right? Not bad, in theory, not bad at all. Second ability is you just eat people. You devour them in quicksand, you steal their health, and then you create an ally, right? It takes a little bit for the ability to actually go off, but I mean, pretty cool. You summon an enemy. Sandstorm is a goofy ability, has a low damage multiplier, but hey, whatever. You just go around, bring enemies in, and do some damage, right? It's pretty interesting. 10 out of 10, would do again. But it's just nothing amazing. It doesn't do a lot of damage, right? It has a damage multiplier, but it doesn't do a lot of damage, okay? And then lastly, you have Scarab Storm, which is essentially a passive. Charge says transform health into hardened Scarab armor. Discharge to blast enemies with a Scarab Swarm. Survivors have their health drained and bestowed on allies. So this is 100% just a passive armor lifesteal type thing. Inaros is weird. His kit's not a ton of fun, but it's very easy and basic. He's pretty good at lower levels, but he only has health and armor, so he struggles at higher levels, right? Overall, he's a cool and okay frame. Could 100% still use a rework, but I think he's playable. He's pretty playable, right? I would give him either like a C to B, but I think he deserves, at this point, he deserves a B, because he is a playable character. His kit does mesh well together. It's just like the entire shtick of a health-only Warframe. It's just kind of annoying, not the best, and lame, and it doesn't play as well. So I would still throw him as B tier. Other people might throw him as C tier. but I think he pretty solidly belongs B tier. You can use him in most missions, play him out, but you just have to be more careful the higher level missions you have, and you have to just build up yourself with adaptation a little tankier with like Rolling Guard on higher level missions. But B tier, without a doubt, can use his abilities every mission pretty easily, right? So I still think he's good. Him just only having health is the issue though, because you can just get one shot off health sometimes. It's crazy, but oh well, still get him a B tier. Next we have, Ivara. So she is the stealthy huntress Warframe. I don't see a ton of people using Ivara ever. Like, I never see Ivara's, I swear. Her first ability is Quiver, right? You have 4 arrows that do different things. You got a cloak, a dash wire zipline, high noise, and then you have sleep. Overall, this is pretty good, right? Hello, everybody. Pretty good without a doubt, but it could be better. Sense nearby enemies within 20 meters, right? Not bad. Next, we have Navigator. This one is weird. I feel like this one takes too much time to actually use it in game. Because look how slow it is. You essentially shoot out an arrow to multiply and build damage and kill people. It's just, it shoots too slow, and in real Warframe combat, it just doesn't quite work out well. So I don't like it. Do not like it at all. Prowl is IMO one of the best abilities for her. Makes her just stealth assassin, right? Become invisible, steal loot from unsuspecting enemies, or take out prey with deadly headshots. It has a pretty small headshot multiplier, but still has a headshot multiplier. Essentially, you can use her to go around looting people and assassinating people. So not too bad, but not too amazing. And then lastly, her best thing without a doubt is her Exalted Bow. It's an Artemis bow. It has insane multi-shot, so would recommend using it. Build it with multi-shot, damage, crit, status, and you should be good. Once you get some actual augments onto Ivara, she gets a lot better, right? Yes, I do like her active passive. Overall though, I don't think she's a godly frame. I think she's B tier. She's a good frame, she's usable, you can use all of her abilities, but you do have to like her kit since she's like a stealthy huntress frame. So yeah, it kind of depends. You throw down your first ability Quiver, you prowl around maybe, do some extra damage, shoot people with your Artemis bow. If you like her kit, you like her kit. So not too bad. I would still give her like a B tier. She's a pretty regular, overall good Warframe, right? So would definitely like and play if you like that sort of setup. Next we have, Prophet. We have Khora, okay? Sweet, sweet kitty cat frame. So Khora is a good frame, right? Let's take a look. Passive. The ferocious Kavat Venari fights with Khora. 15% speed boost if active, and her pet respawns in 45 seconds. So she was the first person to have a respawning, what is it, like Kavat or Kubro, essentially. She was the first one to have like a Deimos type pet that just respawns, I think. Either way, awesome, 10, love Venari. So her Whip Claw, it does so much damage. This is a Whip Claw attack. It does AoE damage, and stats are boosted by equipped melee weapon mod. So it is a melee mod based attack. It does insane amount of damage, and it's really good. You'll see. Second ability is Ensnare. You know, less cool, but it's still good. You essentially just CC everyone. You don't necessarily need it, depending on how you play, but it's still very good, right? AoE, CC, and kind of Ensnare traps them together, and then you Whip Claw them. Her entire kit, by the way, is based around her Whip Clawing, using her first ability on enemies. Your little kitty cat, Venari, is pretty simple. It goes attack, protect, or heal. Pretty simple. If it attacks, it does more damage. If it heals, it's in more heal mode. And if it protects you, and I think you get like a little bit of a buff, right? He just goes near you, tries to heal you and revive you. Or heal per second, yeah. There we go. And lastly, you have your Strangle Dome, which is AoE. You can have it high range. You could have it low range. Yeah. And it grabs enemies into it. So it has a default radius at like level 1 of 5 meters and a grab radius of 5 meters. At level 3, maxed out with some mods, it's insanely higher. And the nice thing about her is you get increased loot. That's right. You get increased drop chance with, I think it's either Whip Claw or Strangle Dome once you get some augment mods. You get better stuff there. So she is insanely good. Her entire kit revolves around have your Strangledome up, Whipclaw all the enemies. If you need CC, ensnare them and then Whipclaw them. And yeah, since Whipclaw is melee, she does so much damage because it boosts off those melee mods, right? So I would say Khora is probably S tier for most things, just gameplay-wise, right? She's so good. Hide in your Strangledome. Your kitty cat attacks people. It pulls people in. You Whipclaw. It destroys them in one hit. And you can CC stun a ton of enemies if you need, right? So overall, Khora is ridiculous. And she is S tier, especially once you get those augment mods. So yeah, let me know what you think about that. But that is Khora. Holy shit. Okay, I think we're about halfway. We're a little bit around halfway. Oh my god. 1 hour in, everyone. 1 hour in. We continue on with rating Lavos. So, everybody, this is your boy, Lavos. Lavos is an interesting case. Came out like a little bit ago, around Railjack time. And he is the Warframe of every element. You may think, what does that mean? He can use every element. Energy, universal orbs give status immunity for 10 seconds. Hold any ability, imbue next cast with additional elemental damage and status. You might be thinking, so hold this to imbue everything with toxin, hold this to imbue everything with cold, hold this to imbue everything with electricity, hold this to imbue everything with heat. When you imbue things together, they mix, so you can create radiation, corrosive. Lavos is the Warframe who can use every element. He is a great and a very good frame if you like his kit. I played him a ton on release, haven't played him a lot since, but oh my mwah. You can throw out viral, you can throw out heat, radiation, magnetic, you can do every element, kill everyone with toxin. Lavos is sick. So, his first ability, Ophidian Bite, is just a forward attack with health drain, right? Forward, smack the ground, sweet. He is the Alchemist frame. His Viral Rush, second ability, is like Mock Rush for Gauss. He just runs forward. Difference is he throws explosive alchemist vials everywhere, right? He just goes yeet, 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 yeet. It's pretty cool. Okay, and you gotta remember, you can have any element, so that could be viral, corrosive, radiation. Yeah. And then Transmutation Probe, look at that. Launch a probe, converts health orbs and energy orbs into universal orbs that provide both ammo pickups into universal ammo. It essentially just gives you good ammo stuff and shocks the enemies. Each electrocuted foe reduces other ability cooldowns by 1.5 seconds. That is right, everyone. You send this out, stun enemies, and get ability cooldown reduction, and you get better loot. Very weird, though. Last but not least is Catalyze. This ability is awesome, right? You use Catalyze, chain it well with Transmutation Probe, sorry. You just do all the damage. So this works as an AoE, and you just shoot out damage, essentially. You just shoot that shit out. And you always have to remember, the whole point of Lavos is you have to and should change around your abilities and imbue statuses so that you get optimal effects. Essentially, it takes a lot to use him, and it's kind of a pain in the ass, but he is really good. He would be stronger and use better if you could just auto imbue things easier, but in between each ability you have to imbue separately. His augments are still good, very strong frame. I would put him solidly as an A tier frame. His abilities could be stronger, and you do have to buff well and like pay attention to not die, right? You have to have a proper kit because he has no like inherent defense ability other than some health drain and stuns. So you got to remember that. Definitely an A tier frame. No, I wouldn't say S tier, but A tier. A tier because first off, he can use every element and you can just do a lot with that. And you can just constantly stun enemies. So very good, very strong frame. You do have to get a hold of swapping around your abilities constantly and imbuing them, which is annoying, right? So he could even be B tier, to be fair, because of how much micro macro he requires. You just have to click your buttons constantly 24/7. You have to be using your abilities. It's just kind of annoying, but it's good. So that's why I'd throw him with A. Maybe he could be S if he had more defensibility and easier imbuement, but I would say A for Lavos, okay? Good frame, strong frame, plays well. Next we have Limbo. I like to call him the interdimensional frost, okay? Because he's pretty much interdimensional frost. How Limbo works is you have the plane of reality and then you have Limbo plane of reality, where only things in Limbo plane of reality can fight you, right? You enter and exit your rift on dodge, and that's how you go in and out of the plane of reality. Ah. Yeah, you get energy, more energy in the rift, so that's pretty cool. Banish hits enemies and pushes them into the rift, also known as like into the other plane of existence, right? He is the troll Warframe. Stasis. This just straight up freezes enemies. Cool. Just freezes stuff. Awesome. Rift Surge. This pretty much surges nearby rift-bound enemies with Rift Surge. It pretty much just does some AoE banish and damage. Cool. Awesome, right? Banish and damage, right? Well, no damage, just banish. Banish, banish, banish. Which is like kind of pseudo damage. So yeah, banishes everyone to the rift. Rift, rift, rift. Cool. Yeah, I'm based like inherent just off it. It's like, eh. But augment mods make Limbo better. And then you have Cataclysm. This does an AoE area, like a frost bubble. And the AoE area is in a plane of another existence, right? So essentially nothing can hit you outside of that orb and nothing inside can hit outside. It's really annoying, so it's very troll. So you just have to pay attention. Works really well on defense targets and everything like that. Limbo is pretty cool like that, right? He works really good for just throwing it down. Enemies can't hit. You can jump out, hit enemies. Limbo Rift. It's pretty interesting. Limbo's an odd Warframe because he kind of sucks to play for a lot of like most players. Kind of sucks, right? But he works well for like certain defenses. Damage is like whatever for obvious reasons. The buffs on him are whatever, and his usability is very annoying, 100%. So augment mods make him better, but the idea of Limbo is jump in and out of the two planes of existence to damage and kill enemies and regenerate health and stay safe. So while he is really good, he's also really annoying. Yes, a bad Limbo player is the worst thing to play with, and a good Limbo player is just really good. So Limbo's a weird one. He can be S tier depending on what you're doing, and he could be F tier depending on what you're doing. And it 100% depends on who's playing him, because people control you and banish you and throw you into the other existence, and people suck. So he's pretty much in B tier frame. He has no like amazing buffs. He just jumps in and out of the planes of reality to kill enemies, and his abilities work around that, and it's a little trolly. I'm gonna throw him just B tier. He's such a weird Warframe, okay? He's so freaking weird to actually rate because of it. He's good, but he's troll. He doesn't have buffs, but he jumps around like, oh god. Good though. Good though. Just so weird. Just very good. Better than Frost because can defend better, right? So that's the best thing. Either way. Loki is a stealth frame. I don't know if you can tell by that. Overall, a good Warframe. Able to hang from walls 10 times longer than normals. You can just hang snipe from walls forever, right? First ability, decoy. This is actually nice, constantly having down a decoy. Enemies just shoot the decoy, right? Okay. If you're playing solo, it's nice having decoy. If you're playing with a group, it doesn't really matter. So it could be better. Invisibility. This is essentially the only thing I ever use on Loki. Literally the only reason I use Loki is for invisibility. He is a good invisibility frame with a high duration invisibility. That is it. Switch teleport. He teleports places with enemies. He is pretty much Ashe, right? Him and Ashe are the same Warframe, but different. Loki can stay stealth way longer. Ashe can kill enemies way better and way longer. So yeah, he's pretty much just like shitty Ashe, right? He's Shash. That's his entire thing. He's trash Ashe. And the only thing he's good for is either AoE radial disarm, because this takes away enemies' weapons. The thing is, they still go to melee combat, so you're still gonna get attacked. So, hey. Or you can go for a really good invisibility build, generally. That's how I only use him. I use him only for invisibility, and other people use him for AoE radial disarm. Usable, yes, and good for those two abilities, yes. Augment mods make him better, but not enough for it to matter. So overall, he's a C tier frame. Because, like, he just doesn't do anything other Warframes don't do better, right? He stealths for a long time. That's his only good thing. But Octavia still does that better. So, yeah. He has Radial Disarm, which is good AoE CC, so you don't get shot down. Or you could just freeze him, stun him, stasis him. Right? So, could be better. So, I only use him in Spies myself, and for his long-range invisibility. But you can use him for whatever you want. He's still a good Warframe, right? So, I would say Loki, he's C tier. Possibly even, like, F tier for a failure of a frame, because he just... You can just pick other Warframes that do his entire kit better. So, he is a C tier or F tier frame. You know, I would say F is acceptable. Yeah, probably F. No, it's F tier. Each time I'm saying C, I'm like, no, C means like bad but usable. He's still bad. Everything's usable. No, he's F. He's just every frame but worse, right? He's just other frames but worse. That's his issue. He could be better, but he's just every other frame in a shittier way. So hey, yeah, we can just throw him on F tier because like him and Hydroid are failures to what Warframe should be. You know, it's where their kit is so generic and bad that it just becomes what other characters are. So, yeah. Either way, F tier frame because you can just play other Warframes that do his entire kit better, each individually. So, yeah. I would accept C tier. I'm not really throwing much into D tier. I'm pretty much going straight into F, but we'll see. We'll see how it ends up by the end of this video. Now we have Mag Prime. So I think Mag Prime has been like rework buffed in the past year a little bit, and I can't remember if she needs more of a buff or if it's like she's in pretty good spot now, but she did get like rework buffed in the past year to my knowledge, I think. So she is a gravitational gravity frame, works well generally. No shock gravity frame is a CC frame, so let's see how that works. First ability is pull, just straight up pulls enemies towards you, do some damage. Okay, good, high range CC. Second ability, magnetize. This just puts everything into that area and just magnetizes it. I know, you can read the entirety of it if you want, but hit target, they take more damage, or you can throw it protectively and it just eats bullets, right? It's really good, right? Like, that's really good defensively. Having an AoE bubble that just deflects bullets, right? It's good, but you have to stay within the bubble. Or you can just use it to murk a ton of enemies within the bubble shield. So either way, it's a cool, interesting, strong ability if you like it. I don't use it a ton, but it's still really good. She gets better though. Then you have Polarize, which is just AoE right there, depletes enemies' shields and armor as it restores ally shields. And Polarize shards, right? Bleeds the enemies. And there's a damage multiplier. So Polarize is actually really good if you have a good enough radius and it hits a lot of people. So pretty important to remember that. Yeah, people just do freaking Arc Plasma or Magnetize, Epitaph. God, it's too strong. And then last but not least, you have Crush. Magnetize the bones of nearby enemies, causing them to collapse upon themselves. This one is like, okay, it gets you shield regeneration, so that's pretty cool. But like the magnet damage isn't like the highest thing, but once you get that augments make her a lot better. So she is a very strong and very good Warframe. You might have to change around how you play her, and her playstyle might be a little weird, but she is pretty strong. Cast speed helps a lot with her, with Crush, because I recall Crush taking a long time to cast. So with like Archon shards, that stuff always helps. So, you know, important to keep that in mind. But overall, she has a pretty good playstyle if you like it. Move around or stay stationary in your magnetized bubble. You can pull people and then just do more damage. Looks like she doesn't have a one pull area AoE anymore like I remember something, but that's okay. So either way, her augment for 4 gives casting speed. Exactly, too good. Either way, she is too good. So I wouldn't throw her low as like C. She's definitely above that. I think she could pretty solidly be like B+ to an A tier. I don't think she's S tier. She's still good, but I don't think she's S tier. But I'll go with B+ on her. I don't quite want to throw her on A. I don't like her kit the most. I don't like using Crush ever. I like never use it when I play her. It's just essentially Polarize Magnetize for me. I think it could work better, right? So I'll throw her on a B+, right? B+. Yeah, the armor strip is good though, but that's how it goes. You just magnetize and polarize, my dudes. You don't need pull, but it's cool. And you don't need Crush, but it's cool, right? So I'll give her a B+ for that. So there you go, Mag. B+, B+. Cool frame though. Would Mag again. Mesa Prime. Whoo. Do y'all like being a gunslinging cowboy? Because that is what Mesa is. The aimbot of Warframe. How she works is she just shoots enemies, right? Her first ability, I never use it, right? It's good for bosses. It's essentially just really high damage shot, except the buffer limit's really low, so it's not actually that high. But hey, it does have damage increase, and that's the idea. So use that if you want, but overall, she's not good against like individual small enemies with ballistic net. Passive is just shoot dual-wielded Simar, 15% faster and reload. Yeah, so her guns shoot fast, do good damage. Gain 50 bonus health when not using melee weapons. That's right, rip off a melee and gain 50 health. Her entire kit you're not going to be meleeing anyways, so that's fine because she is an aimbot. Shooting Gallery is a buff. This is just damage buff, jams enemies' guns, so that's actually pretty nice. It jumps around teammates, it gives them small damage buff, but the main thing is the like enemies just, it's a stun, right? They don't shoot you. They're like, hey, what happened to my gun? So pretty much like a stun and damage increase that jumps around enemies. Really nice. Shatter Shield is straight damage reduction, and it somehow reflects incoming bullet damage, right? So that's pretty nice. Love it. Shatter Shield is DR. It's really good. Bread and butter. It's great. Because you kind of need it. Once you throw on Peacemaker, you are not moving. Peacemaker makes you stationary and you auto aimbot all the enemies. You have a high damage multiplier, field of view, range increase, stuff like that. So mod it however you want. And obviously your guns are augmented guns, so you mod them yourself. Very strong Warframe if you like using her. Once you get some augment mods, she gets even better and stronger. I have an augment mod so I can like walk around with her Peacemakers and like hide behind stuff if I need to. There's a lot of buffs too with the other augment mods. She is pretty good. She's without a doubt an A tier frame. So freaking slap an A tier on her. And she is usable without a doubt on most, if not every mission. So mod her well and play her well. Enemy guns will jam, you'll take reduced damage, but she could still be better and more tanky, but it's not like she needs to be, you know? Either way, 10 out of 10, she's really good, A tier. Next, we have Mirage. She is really good, okay? Master of Illusions. Mirage confounds the enemies in a spectacle of style and power. A lot of damage and a lot of damage increases. Mirage is pretty strong, okay? I'm just gonna say that right now. She's magnificent if you want to do a lot of damage. So, let's continue on. Dun, 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 dun. Excal and Excalibur, I would rank the exact same as like a B tier good frame. Their kit's good. Umbra's nice because he has an AI, but it's the same as Excal. So, sliding lasts longer. She's very maneuvery with aerobatics, right? So, let's go about it. First ability, really OP, really huge. Doppelgangers, increase damage, right? Awesome. Good damage and bullet multiplier. Second one, sleight of hand, AoE explosion. This one is also really good. It also stuns and blinds the enemies, right? It's so nice. This is great. Her entire kit is awesome. Eclipse is either damage increase or damage reduction percentage depending on the light and how intense the light is. So if it's more light, she'll have the higher damage increase to a higher percent. And if it's darker, she'll have a higher damage reduction to a higher percent. It's crazy because her ability relies on like the light levels and you can't fully see it. Either way, Eclipse is really good. Stand in light, do more damage. And then lastly, you have Prism, which depending on how you build might be used less or might be used more. Damage blinds enemies, and if you do have good range, it's actually not that bad. She's actually insanely strong, right? Because you have doppelgangers, they shoot at them. She blows up enemies' ammo all over the place to stun them, or like things on the ground, right? She just straight up has damage increase, damage decrease, right? And her fourth ability can be a quick explosion to blind enemies, but it does use a lot of energy, so depends what you like to do. I'm gonna say Mirage is easily, without a doubt, an A tier frame. that could definitely creep into S tier frame. I think she has a little bit of survivability issues because of Eclipse and it jumping around, but she's still without a doubt very good. You can build her well just for damage increase and just playing her casually. You can build her really well for high AoE sleight of hand, or you could build her well for a prism build. And once you get some augment mods, her damage gets even higher. So she's still really good, really nice, but you know, could still be more invincible, stronger, more godly. So A tier Warframe without a doubt. She's great. I love playing her if I just want to wreck foes. You know, Mirage with a Exceltra is just constant explosion. So would recommend. Love her. 10 out of 10 A tier frame, right? So that's Mirage, everybody. Next, we're going over Nekros. Oof, Nekros. Okay. Nekros is good and Nekros is bad. I both hate and I both love Nekros. I don't care for playing him, right? This is going to be a little interesting, right? So, overall, cool. Restores health with kills, nice. Soul Punch, punches enemies. Soul punches them, right? Awesome, awesome. It marks them, Shadow of the Dead. Terrify, fear into the enemies, armor reduction. This is sweet. Terrify is really nice, okay? Awesome, great. Desecrate is also really sick. It's just AoE loot collection. So if you're beginning to mid-game, way better, right? Actually godly. 10 out of 10. If you're late game, you don't need a ton of loot, but that's, you know, how that is. And then Shadow of the Dead is straight up, you summon your dead foes. If you ever watch solo leveling, you understand. You just summon up dead enemies with buffs. Nekros is a weird frame, because he's both rated highly and lowly for me, because I don't like playing him, but his kit is insane technically. He is an S tier Warframe, okay? S tier without a doubt. You have loot increases, okay? Which is already insane. You have an AoE stun armor reduction at a really good rate, okay? Sweet. And you have a ton of enemies that regenerate and pop around with good multipliers, right? And they're essentially just walking around taking damage off you. So he is one of those Warframes that's just so incredibly good because of a couple of things that you just can't not have him. Then you have some augments, which makes him a little bit stronger, but you don't need the augments, right? He's just amazing. Would recommend without a doubt. Nekros is an S tier frame. I don't like playing him, but he is really good without a doubt. Ruben, lie down. My little puppy dog. Good frame. Good Nekros. Now we're up to Nezha, right? Nezha is really good as well, okay? Very good, without a doubt. Awesome frame. You go faster, slide faster, and farther, right? Speedy frame. Nezha, however you technically pronounce it. I always say Nezha, or I think a technical way to say it is like Nezha, or something like that, but is a, I believe, Chinese lore Warframe, right? As you may be aware, Warframe also has Warframe China, separate clients. So with that, we have, you know, some Warframes based off Chinese lore. So we have Nezha, sun god, right? God of fury and fire. You have Firewalker, which is sweet. Just run around, do damage, it fires people, and it rips off bad statuses. Okay, awesome. Cool, Nezha, great. Blazing Chakram, also amazing because it has damage vulnerability on the enemies. Boosted damage, right? And health energy orb drop. Really, the damage vulnerability is the bread and butter on that one. You just do more damage. It's always great. It's akin to armor strip damage vulnerability, right? Same similar idea. And then with Warding Halo, you get damage absorption, damage per second, time invulnerable, and an absorption multiplier, right? So it's essentially a pretty cool type of like Rhino Shield. Awesome. It means you can just be tanky and never die. Awesome, nice, love it, right? Another tanky, good thing. And then finally you have Divine Spears, which is high range CC, or like high medium range. Decent range CC overall. Impale and slam damage impact, right? Could be stronger, could be worse, but you do have armor strip, and it gets a lot stronger when you get all your sweet, sweet augment mods out there, right? So overall, Nezha is a really good frame. I would say either A or S tier. That's always the question. I'm always not 100% sure if Nezha should go S or A, because it is one or the other, okay? It's 100% God tier frame. I would want to say A still, but at the same time, Nezha is a very understandable S tier frame. You get Nezha very easily, right? And overall, in just every mission, Nezha is strong and a good frame. But could be tankier, stronger, and just destroy everything a lot easier. So I'll probably end up, yeah, we're gonna go with an A tier frame. I would maybe put him S tier for beginners though, because of how easy the kit is. And it's probably gonna be very similar to Rhino because of, you know, that exact same thing, right? So I'm gonna say A tier, okay? A tier. Very good frame, literally for just playing the game. People underestimate that just like, if you just play him as a Warframe in any mission, he does great, right? Great damage, great kills, great movement, awesome. So, all in all, A tier frame, for sure, for sure. There you go, Nezha, great frame. Now we have Nidus. Oh boy, we have Nidus Prime. Nidus is the maggot Warframe. He's just infested maggot frame. Pretty cool looking boy though, right? Pretty cool looking boy. The passive is Nidus is killed with at least 15 stacks of mutation. That's right, you don't die. They're consumed, you get invulnerability and health back, right? Very, very nice. Virulence. Rupture the ground with damage. So this one's like, okay. This is used to stack up your passive, like mutation stacks. So you just want to hit a lot of enemies. You don't want this to do a ton of damage. You just want to stack up your mutation, right? Usually how that works. It does not do a ton of damage either way. So you're cool there. But if you kill enemies, that's good too. Larva is really good CC. Like, it's pretty good. It could have higher range, don't get me wrong, but the default range is still really good. Once you level it up, it's more. Get more range on it, it's amazing. So Larva is really good CC, without a doubt. It spins way, way too well with Virulence, right? Because that's the combo. Get them in with Larva, and then hit them with the ground pound, and get all of your stacks up. It works so well. Parasitic Link is just TLDR, buffs. You hit an enemy and get buffs, right? Damage increase, damage reduction, or sorry, redirection onto them. Similar idea. Annoying because you need to constantly parasitically link another person, which is a pain in the ass, constantly doing it to enemies because they die. But it's still good, right? And then you have Ravenous, which is just AoE, hits enemies, costs mutation stacks as well, does some regen increase. Essentially, you're always going to be ideally fighting in your Ravenous, without a doubt. Nidus overall is a very strong, good frame if you like properly comboing and playing with his entire kit, because he is used, without a doubt, a lot of abilities, right? You combo and use your abilities constantly. That's how you play Nidus generally, right? It's hard to say how good he is, but it takes a little bit to get him. Without a doubt, a good frame. I'm gonna say he's a B plus tier frame, right? Obviously one of those frames that synergizes well with all of its abilities and works well solo or in a group, but you know, takes some time to ramp up. The abilities aren't inherently really strong, they're just really good for survival and yeah, pretty much survival and just building up stacks. While you do increase damage and everything too, the more mutation stacks you have, your damage is never gonna be like insane. So yeah, he's a good frame for CC and survivability, without a doubt. I love it, really good. The only issue about Steel Path with Nidus is he can get hit really hard, and some enemies are like CC immune, but you can still play him pretty easily in Steel Path. And it's very easy because you can Larva Virulence, enemies a lot and build up your stacks very quickly. But he gets killed way too easily. So he's less of a Steel Path frame, but he's still very good. You can still play him Steel Path. You just have to remember to mod properly. Adaptation's always godsend, right? But really good Warframe, really good Warframe. Talked about Nova a little bit earlier. Nova's really good. Honestly, really good. You have Speed Nova. You have Slow Nova, okay? You have AoE explosions on Nova. Pretty good, right? I myself am more of a Speed Nova, but the way her abilities work are pretty interesting. You got some damage reduction on your first ability, but it doesn't work as pure damage reduction because the little antimatter particles fly off and it goes away, so it can be a little annoying, but you always want to have Null Star up. You always want to have antimatter dropped. Or not, it really doesn't matter, to be honest. Hopefully enemies shoot in at it, but This is one of those abilities you might use, but probably not. It really depends. You have Wormhole here, which is just for traveling, which is actually very good for a couple of things, either open world objectives or just straight travel. But other than that, it is pretty useless, right? So not terrible. And then you have Molecular Prime, her bread and butter. So this inherently slows enemies and has a really good range and really good explosion damage, right? But the thing is, it can also speed enemies up if you have negative strength. So Nova is a godsend because you can have two types of abilities. Either you can make enemies run around really fast so you can get to them and kill them really quickly, or you can just freeze enemies, crippling them and making them explode. So yeah, there's a couple of ways you can build Nova, but she's still really good and really nice to use. But she's more of a niche character depending. She can be used in like everyday gameplay, of course, but her bread and butter is more of a niche type of ability. So if you want enemies to go either really slow or really fast, she is the Warframe for you. I would still throw her in at B tier as just a general good Warframe, but more niche because of that. But because her fourth ability does do decent enough damage and everything, you know, you can still build her pretty well if you want to murk some people, right? That's the thing though, you need to have, if you want to have high damage, it has to be a Slova because that'd be a strength build. If you want to have low damage Speedva, you'd have negative strength. So augment, make her a little cooler, a little stronger, like with every Warframe. But again, B tier frame overall, you can always go to all of the open worlds to check out, or sorry, all the factions to check out augment mods on each Warframe if you want to buy them, right? But Nova is pretty B tier frame. Good, very nice depending on what you feel like doing, but if you don't want to use her, then yeah, also understandable. Now we have up Nyx. Nyx has a pretty interesting use. Take over enemies, right? They do a little bit more damage and attack enemies. Not bad, not bad. You have Psychic Bolts. It's pretty good for defense reduction, right? Is your armor strip. Not bad, not bad. Then you have Chaos, Powerful Psychic Blast. This is just AoE, pretty much confusion, and it makes enemies attack each other. Nyx is an amazing CC damage, CC armor strip. I was gonna say damage reduction, which I guess she also has though, so yeah, defense reduction, debuff duration, speed decrease. No, CC and armor strip, bread and butter. Her fourth ability, Absorb. I don't know, don't really ever use this one. Just kind of get a little buff, absorb all the incoming damage, and then nuke it out to enemies. I'm going to say with Nyx, she's still also like B tier. You could probably throw her into A tier too, depending on how much you like her. She's good. The idea is like, she's a little weird though. She has cool abilities. You take over and mind control CC, confuse enemies. But depending on what you're doing, there's so many bullets flying everywhere, you might still get shot. So you have to just get out of the way. I do like her general gameplay style, but I don't see a lot of people using her these days, or I haven't seen her used a lot in like ages, you know? So I feel like other Warframes do have her kit in different ways that work a little bit better, right? Like maybe people have simpler, easier armor shred. Other people have simpler, easier CCs than hers because it's like mind confusion. So she's still a good frame, but I feel like she's been forgotten and overlooked for other frames that have similar kits because her CC and stuff, while it is good and her damage reduction is good, other Warframes just do it better, right? That's the thing. There's a lot of Warframes like that. So she's probably just B tier to C tier at this point. I'm going to say she's solidly B because she's a pretty good frame still. It's just other Warframes are better and do her job a little better as well. And they'd be more A tier and some solid S tier Warframes, but still a good frame, still like Nyx, still throw her in the B tier. I mean, every Warframe's usable though, so everything's fine, usable, and good if you like it. That's the nice thing about Warframe. Tier lists are more for fun, to talk about what people like more. So yeah. Now we have Oberon. Oberon is a pretty basic, simple paladin Warframe. Heals, AoE damage, and some CCs, right? I like him overall, and he was actually one of the Warframes I used a good chunk in like early mid games too, and he still works really well early mid game. But let's go over his general stuff. Passive health link, shield link, right? Nice, okay, with your pet. Smite is just some damage. Damages some enemies, shoots out orbs, okay, but it's radiation damage, so, you know, not bad, not bad. Then you have Hollowed Ground, which is actually what I like a lot. It's just AoE radiation damage with some status chance %, right? I like it. I like that AoE damage, without a doubt. It's nice, but it's not really high, right? So it works better, of course, lower levels for sure. And once you get into Steel Path, it's just kind of nice to throw around some sweet, sweet status. So you have your Renewal. This is awesome. It's just AoE heal, right? Sick heal, bleed out slow, buffs of armor. You get some nice augment mods later on. I really do enjoy him. I really do enjoy him. He's a nice Warframe. You got some good tankiness and some good healing going. So Renewal is very good. Always have Renewal and Hollowed Ground essentially on, because why wouldn't you? Makes no sense to not have these on, always. That's kind of the whole point. And then you have Reckoning, which is your, that's right, it actually has armor reduction, straight up. You got that armor shred on him. You want some of that casting speed, usually for a slower ability like this. It's kind of like a lot of other Warframe abilities like Mags, yeah. Anyways, you just go up, go down, armor shred, yeah. Handful of abilities like this are on other Warframes too. Good damage, radiation, right? Cool. Bonus health orb drop, blind. So that's how you use them. High range, have your stuff constantly active, and just kick ass, man. Oberon's really good. I want to throw him A. I love Oberon, and I always have him. He could like, no, he wouldn't go to S tier. So he still would like get beat around a bit, higher levels, get a little beat up. Overall for Warframe though, mwah. B plus A, I'm going with A. I love Oberon, right? You have good heals, good just AoE damage with armor strip. The active playstyle of Oberon isn't too terrible either, right? You can throw around smites to get some status, but that's his worst thing, right? Oh well. But I still really love Oberon. People always like shat on him, and I think people still shit on him a little bit. Like, as like, oh, I could be better, for sure. And you know, like with anything, he could be better, but I still love him. Dear to my heart with a good healing, damagey playstyle, so I throw him in A. Oh gosh, now we have Octavia. Oh boy. So Octavia's shtick is music. She uses music. She musics people so hard, right? And she replenishes energy constantly. Her mallet is infinite damage multiplier, okay? Damage inflicted on the mallet increases its lethality. So she has her damage infinite multiplier on her mallet. How do you build Octavia, you might ask? You build her as much range duration as humanly possible. And if you want, maybe some strength, but you don't need any strength because of infinite damage scaling, right? You have your Resonator, which is a roller ball that just walks around, gets people to follow it, and then damage it. Fun fact, you put the mallet on top of the Resonator, and it's a constant moving nuke, and enemies attack it and kill everyone. It's amazing. Next, you have Metronome, which is, guess what? Overpowered buffs that you can activate all at once because it depends on how you play the game. Crouching, invisibility, right? Firing rhythmically, multi-shot. Time melee swings, damage buff. Mash control, mash crouch, and you stay invincible forever. It's so insane. You get damage buffs. Oh my god. And last but not least is Amp, which is a damage multiplier. A damage multiplier. Hey, thanks for the S tier, or sorry, bits. Appreciate it. It's a damage multiplier, and it doubles the range of your AoE nuke on the map. When Warframe created Octavia, I swear to God, they were just doing drugs, and they looked at each other and were like, what if we made a Warframe that is so much better than any other Warframe in the game that it doesn't even compare? They all looked at each other and were like, that's a perfect idea. And therefore, Octavia was created. Grendel S tier. She's just too good. She's S tier. She's like S plus, okay? Octavia is on the tier of her own because of how Mallet works, man. She is so insanely strong. She's just too good, right? She's just triple S, triple X, whatever you want to call it. She's just mwah. I love it. She's just too good. So, yeah, that's Octavia right there. That's just too godly. Even if you don't like playing her, her kit itself is godly. Oof. Now we have a Protea, also known as the Protea. So how does she work? Essentially, damage it with turrets. She does sweet restoration of her third ability, and she does slash shield gate orbs for 24/7 shield gating. She is a god as well, but for different reasons. While she doesn't scale infinitely as well or anything like Octavia, for general Warframe gameplay, she's invincible and a god amongst everyone else as well. So, Protea, every 4th ability cast is just buffed up to a high degree with more ability strength. Her first ability, Grenade Fan, is constant AoE grenades that apply slash, right? They're slash grenades, or you throw out constant shields. No, you throw out both. You throw constant shields, and then you can shield gate forever. The nice thing is, you throw up like a handful of shield gate shields on the ground, and you go around killing people. You just constantly walk on by when you need a shield. So Protea, built-in shield gating. You do not need to build for shield gating, because she is shield gating. Second ability is an insanely high damage fire turret, and it builds its damage each hit. It's a low duration turret, so you need very high duration on Protea if you want your turret damage to be very high, which I do, so I have a very high duration turret. You have to pop these out a lot. Protea's playstyle is constantly very active, so keep that in mind, but you don't have to aim as much because everything aims for you. Dispensary constantly shoots out health, energy, universal ammo packs, so good support frame. And then finally, Temporal Anchor is, it's kind of annoying and kind of bad. It is an explosion ability that you activate it, and then after a certain amount of time, you pretty much just go back in time with an explosion, right? If you get killed while in Temporal Anchor, you kind of jump out of it and fall down, and then enemies tend to usually kill you. So this is actually her worst ability. Surprisingly, believe it or not, worst ability. She doesn't need augment mods whatsoever. Augment mods help her a little bit, but you don't really need them. So Protea is S tier, okay? Because of how godly her built-in shield gating, support, and just AFK sit in a corner playstyle of turrets if you want. She's great. You just throw down turrets and you throw down grenades and you'll never die. And then you can throw up your universal your universal third ability and just get all your health, energy, and ammo, right? Have decent enough efficiency on her and you're good to go. I find her S tier. She's my #1 Warframe, so obviously I love her so much. I would always throw her in as S tier. But, you know, she could be higher. She's not like she does infinite scaling or massive damage multipliers, so yeah, it is what it is. All in all, would recommend. Mwah, love Protea. S tier for sure. Next we have is Revenant. Okay, overall a good Warframe and a very high tier frame as well. Mainly for one ability, but overall still good, Shield depletion splashes enemies within 7.5 meters with 100 damage, knockdown, right? Good damage, cool. Oh yeah, Protea can level cap. It's just the turret itself is very high damage. It's just not gonna scale comparatively to Octavia's. Then you have Enthrall, which is converts enemies. Converts target into a zealous thrall. Thralls turn on their allies and thrall through damage. Just pretty much convert enemy and then they turn into little AoE damage. Well, it's cute. Would recommend. Mesmer skin is straight up invincibility. This is just invincibility, the ability. It's just an ability that stuns enemies when they hit you and you don't take damage. It's constantly able to be reactivated. So you can you just never run out. But the second it comes down, you reactivate it and you're good to go. It's just so good. Just so amazing, right? This is what makes Revenant so amazing. Reva's overall pretty good too. Health drain, running through enemies, right? But you don't really need to use it, but it is pretty good stats overall. So good movement and drain ability. And then you have Dance Macabre, which is AoE damage, right? It actually, it damages whatever their like most damaging thing is. You can increase it if you hold it. Yeah, you can have a really good 100% Reeve build, which it does 100% shield and health drain. But, you know, that's up to you. He's still pretty invincible as a Revenant, so overall, he's a really good frame. He's definitely acceptably an S tier frame. He is S tier, okay? because of how just stupid his general kit works. I'm throwing him S tier mainly for his invincibility. He just has invincibility as an ability. It was 0 effort, right? It's like, why? Why did they do just that? And then he has an ability to constant murder everyone if he feels like it. His builds are weird if you want to build for Reeve, but not terrible. Build for Dance Macabre is cool, but you don't need it, right? He's just a stupid frame in that regard. So he's getting thrown S tier because of how just simple his stupidity of murder is. You just like hit ability, never die, cool. Hit ability, insta-kill, cool. Like, it's so funny. His 4th and his 1st ability are his least useful, but you can build his 4th ability to have like fun, right? And it can still be really good, right? I like using his 4th ability. The issue is the drain per second is so high, even at max duration efficiency, it's not as effective as just being a Reeve boy or being invincible, right? But I still love him without a doubt. Augment mods, can't remember what they do off the top of my head, enthralling buffs and stuff like that. Yeah, they make him better, but they aren't required and definitely aren't needed, right? So Revenant is just S tier based on his usability of a god, right? Just shotgun him with a nuke in the face, he'll walk it off like candy. But it's just because he's a very simple, easy, strong frame in that regard. Now we have Rhino. Rhino is very similar to other frames, Revenant, Nezha, right? Very, very similar to them. He is a tank frame, okay? Not too shocking. Shockwave, damage, when he falls, nothing too amazing. Rhino charge is cool. It's a forward charge that AoE pushes enemies, right? Nothing amazing, but still cool. Iron Skin is pretty much Nezha's armor halo. That's all it is, essentially. You armor yourself, take damage for a couple of seconds, and then build that into your Iron Shield as well. 1.5 seconds off like level 1, yeah. So you just do more damage. You just take more damage and then block more damage. It's similar to Revenant's Mesmer Skin, right? But not as good because you actually have to pay more attention. And it's not as good as just straight up blocking 20 attacks of infinite damage. Either way, it's still very good, very similar, and 10 out of 10. Roar is godly. It's just AoE damage buff, right? Very good. Mwah. Very good. Amazing. Good for the team, yourself included. Lastly, you have Rhino Stomp. Really good AoE CC overall if you want to build for it. Stun, speed decrease, what have you, right? I don't care about his 1st ability at all. Other than that, though, his other 3 are amazing. If you want to build towards simplicity, just build Roar and Iron Skin and just kill everything. If you want to build godly CC, you'd more so build high range and strength for his like Rhino Stomp. You don't even need a lot of strength, right? Because it just does so much. So just have mainly range, and yeah. So there's a lot of cool ways to build him. You'd probably want a high amount of efficiency if you're going to do a Rhino Stomp build. Just mainly efficiency range, I would imagine. And don't have too much lower strength. His augment mods help him for sure, man. They help him for sure, but they don't need them. So he's like a Revenant in that regard. He's a really good Warframe. I would throw him as like an S tier Warframe for beginner Warframe players because you get him very early on in the game. He is so good to use and he can carry people, but he might be a little too heavily reliant. Overall, he is an A tier frame, okay? Without a doubt, Rhino, A tier frame. S tier for beginners because of how simple and easy he makes the game, right? But he's just so good. That's how I'd base him, at least. A tier frame, but probably S tier for a lot of beginner Warframe players. So let me know what you think about that. Mwah. It's a great Warframe. Just an amazing Warframe. Yeah, this YouTube video is gonna be a long one. 2 hours recording so far. Next, we have Saren Prime. Yeah, we got the Bear. Bear is what I would call the AIDS frame. She is a Pestilence incarnate as a Warframe, and she does amazing damage. You have to build her more specifically, and you can kill everything on the map easily, but surprisingly, I've never been a massive Saren player. I played her a good amount, and like pretty casually to nuke everything, but I could have definitely played her more. All of her abilities essentially do a variation of toxin type damage, so you'll see. Status effects land on enemies last longer. That's right, she is AIDS frame. She will give everyone space AIDS, and they will like it. They will like it. There's Spores, which is constant AoE damage of corrosive spores, and guess what? It has infinite scaling, much like Octavia, so it is really good. Really, really good. High status, You shoot the spores, they spread to everyone, infinite scaling. So at a certain extent, everything just dies constantly and you just constantly spore around. So she is really good in that regard, for sure. Her second ability, less good, Molt. You know, little speed multiplier, gets you some health if you have certain augment mods. It gets pretty much the damage off of you, and that's what matters, right? That's what this is for. The toxin damage, yeah, whatever. It gets the heat off of you. Her third ability, Toxin Lash. Also godly. Attacks just do toxin damage, and if you're meleeing, it does double, right? So, awesome, awesome, very good, very strong. Burst spores like a champ. Last but not least is Miasma. It makes enemies take even more damage, gives them viral, and it has a spore damage multiplier. I don't know if you realize this, but her kit works insanely well together, right? Insanely well, and it scales infinitely. Citrine is an S-tier Warframe, okay? You might have to build her a little more specifically for survival, depending on what you're doing. You know, roll your rolling guard, shield gating, who knows? But she is an S-tier Warframe for sure. You build up her stacks long enough, you just pay attention to your abilities always being on, you constantly have high range, activate Miasma occasionally, everything's dying. You're killing everything, she's a god. I surprisingly don't play her a lot. You can play her in a survival and just murk everything for ages, but yeah, that's how she is, that's how she does. Augment mods make her just stronger, more statusy, and it's pretty crazy. So, S tier, Citrine. You knew it was gonna happen. Citrine always gets an S tier because of just being insane. So, it is what it is. It is what it is. Her status is everything. She does corrosive, viral, toxin. Gotta love it. Oh, now we have Sevagoth. Sevagoth is a really, really strong frame for like one ability. It makes him really good, but it makes him really boring. So, on death, Sevagoth has a chance to like revive, right? And he also has a second ability, which is Shadow Boy. His first ability is Reap. You essentially fly forward, damaging enemies, increasing their damage vulnerability, right? Really good, really awesome, sweet, great ability. So, right? Oh, you just go do some damage to an enemies, right? Oh, drain their life force, reap what has been sown. This, no shock, you first reap and then sow, right? You reap and sow. It combos with sow. That's how it works. You afflict them with sow, you hit them with that reap, it does more damage, AoE explosion, their souls of the dead fill the death well. Gloom. So Gloom is what makes him a god tier frame. He is so godly because of this. AoE damage, lifesteal, and slow. It can 100%, so it can like freeze enemies. The range is very good. Oh my god. Gloom is so great. It's just not even, it's the best thing ever, the Helminth. It's, oh, okay, it's too good. Gloom's a god. You reap what you sow what you reap. And lastly, Exalted Shadow, which you go into Sevagoth's Shadow form. And you get a bunch of other abilities. Now, Shadow form is cool, but it's not as meta as Sevagoth form, right? But it's still really good. You go around hitting enemies, doing AoE, you pull them in, you attack them forward. It's still fun if you want Shadow mode. But Sevagoth himself is godly. You pretty much just do a lot of damage, you reap, sow, and constantly kill with Gloom. Sevagoth is an S-tier Warframe for many reasons, mainly because Gloom, but you just don't die, you run around reaping, sowing, right? You can pretty much build him however you feel like doing it. High range, high strength's always best though. Helminth ability is godly because it's Gloom. Yeah, he's just too good. He's just too good. He's just honestly insane, so use him however you will. He's annoying to farm though. He's annoying to farm. You're gonna use a lot of farm on him. But hey, that's Sevagoth, S-tier frame, if you like him at least. If not, I cry every time. Now we have Styanax. Ooh, Styanax. One of the more recent frames, for sure. Right? Look at that. Styanax crit chance increases with his spear shields and doubles for spear guns. Words are hard, right? Nice. You got Axios, Javelin. This is good CC. It does damage, but it's mainly there for CC without a doubt. But look at that. Oh, good Javelin CC. This is really nice because defense reduction is godly, right? So why do enemies need armor? Any frame with armor reduction is instantly really useful because they can strip armor completely. Then you have Rally Point, which is just buffs, shields, and stuff for kills, right? Why? Well, you can't be mad at that. Just buffs. Each time you kill enemies, you get a little buffs. Sheesh, 1% crit chance per 40 shield, by the way. Nice, okay, that's not bad. 1 crit chance per 40 shield. Get him a lot of shield. Last but not least is Final Stand. This is the one that sounds like a little bunch of army of chickens, right? You just throw a bunch of spears. It's a cool ability. It falls off late game, of course, but it's still really cool. It does slash damage, so hey. But it does explosion damage as well. Cool, nice, awesome, A tier frame, okay? Steinax, not an S tier frame for me. He's really cool, love his abilities, just running around, gaining shield, hitting enemies with that, nuking them because now they have no armor, right? Not bad, not bad, but he's still definitely A tier for me. Survivability, not the worst, especially because of rally point, but you never know, depends what you're running, what you might need. Shield gating, rolling guard, adaptation, all good abilities. I like him for what I played. I don't play him a ton, but Steinax, pretty hype. Next, we have Titania. So I'm not the biggest Titania player, not the least Titania player. She's awesome. Don't get me wrong, okay? So here's the thing. She regenerates health for herself and nearby allies every time she casts an ability. You're casting a lot of abilities, right? So you got your first ability, Spellbind, you know? This little, look at that. Little CC. Little, oh, look, they're just floating around. Cool. Not the most useful. Her second ability is really nice. You cast around, or like rotate around them, and just cast them whatever you will, right? Maybe a little buff, maybe a little speed decrease, maybe a little hit chance decrease. And then you have Thorns. Generally, I throw on Dust for hit chance decrease. Not bad, not bad. Makes sense. Then you have Lantern, which is a swarm of Razorflies. It attacks enemies, tracking comrades before exploding on command. So it's like a little trap bomb. Cool ability overall, but I don't use it ever, right? I'm mainly here for the tribute and for the Razor Wing. That's the thing. Daily reminder though, her fourth ability is going into Razor Wing mode. This turns you into a tiny flying Titania, and you can kill the enemies at lightning speeds. High evasion, high damage. So she's pretty godly. Titania's really good. Throw on all your evasion, hit your second ability. Yeah, pretty much people won't attack you. You can't die. She's pretty godly, to be fair. Depending on if you like playing her, for just general ease of use, murdering, and gameplay, Titania is S tier. Okay? She's not going to die as long as you're paying attention to the game. And if you're just killing enemies, you'll get enough energy, right? So she's pretty S tier or A tier, depending on how you look at it. But we're going with Titania is S tier, okay? She is a Arcwing, but a Warframe. They made her Arcwing Warframe. She's without a doubt A or S, but I'm gonna go with S because like I like tiny Arcwing mode, and the fact that like she just gets so much speed and so much evasion that like enemies aren't allowed to hit you essentially is pretty wild, right? So you're just a tiny thing flying around killing enemies and they can't even hit you. She has so much speed that she's like, I think technically she is the fastest Warframe in the game. You can get across Cetus in like 3 seconds at like throwing up speed inducing speeds with a max strength build. And her attacks and buffs are just insanely good once you get some augments on her too. So 100% build her up, make her godly. She's so good, so good. Next we have Trinity. Oh dear Trinity. Trinity is one of those Warframes that will always be good. The best, I think, support frame in the game for a lot of people, right? You have Well of Life, which heals enemies, or sorry, not heals enemies, steals health, heals on life steal, good health around. You have your second one, which steals energy, so you'll never run out of energy. You have your third ability, which links to enemies so that they take damage and give you damage reduction, right? Okay, not bad. And then you have your fourth ability, which is Blessing, which is just AoE health and shield restore. Nice. So Trinity was, and still is, a god tier, like really good support frame. The issue with how good of a support frame she is people just don't need her as much anymore, right? Like she's really good, but like nobody needs her is the issue. You can usually play solo without Trinity at all, right? Nobody needs her, but she's really good with group activities, bossing, things like that, right? Eidolons, what have you, very nice. While maybe back in the day, she would have definitely been an S tier Warframe, I think these days, Trinity is an A tier Warframe. She would be S tier if she was like as needed and if her abilities seemed as godly, but like most Warframes with operators and everything in the game now, you can just pretty instantly shield gate, health regenerate, right? Man, she's still really good in an A tier frame. I just feel like she fell off because other frames and like modern day Warframes are stronger and just do not need her as much. So you just don't need anything about a Trinity's kit unless you're doing more specific stuff and you want to be lazy, right? So she's an A tier Warframe still, without a doubt. She'll never be S tier again because Warframe just kind of scaled her out, you know? They scaled out her usability, but A tier still if you want to do endgame activities and like bosses and just in general. Titania, Trinity, sorry, really good. Next we have Valkyr. She is the melee slashy kitty frame. I really like her kit. She is very fun and has a very interesting attacks. So recovers from being knocked down, makes sense. Ripline is just movement. It riplines you, or like riplines enemies or you around. I usually use it for movement, but I mean, if you want to ripline an individual enemy, go for it. It just seems like a waste of anything. Second ability, Warcry, is just straight up kill stuff. Speed increase, enemy speed decrease, armor increase, right? You're a melee, kitty cat, tank. Her third ability is Paralysis. Unleashes her shield, stunning and damaging enemies around her, right? You got a high damage multiplier and good knockback, so use it and kill enemies. The best part is, doesn't even use all your shield, only uses some. Well, I think maybe, well, you can mod for that too. Don't worry about it, right? So mod for that if you like it, depends. Always want strength though. And then finally, her last ability, Hysteria. She goes cat mode, angry, pissed off cat mode. She goes melee claws, it has lifesteal and high damage. They are exalted weapons, so you mod them however you feel like, right? Overall, very good, very good. I would say an A tier Warframe. She still has some survivability issues. You can get like clapped down sometimes, but she's still really good, right? She doesn't have, you know, the worst tankiness because she gets a lot of armor on, Warcry armor. Hey, her 4 makes her invulnerable. You gotta remember, the drain on this does get pretty ridiculous. It's true, but if you keep it up long enough, you're good, you're good. Still going with A tier frame, still very good. I still need to play her more, as you can tell. But yeah, she is a pretty god tier kitty frame, so it's kind of like a wolf, but cat. Now we have Vauban. So Vauban is very nice. He is a CC frame through and through. Used to be better, I'd say, but there's a good chunk of enemies that ignore CC. But he's still very good, right? If you look around at all his attacks, he has his little Tesla Nervos damage orbs, not bad. Deals more damage to incapacitated enemies because you're constantly stunning, incapacitating people, right? You have deployable mines, stuff. These do good damage, these stun well, and it's nice having a good array of these, right? But it always depends what you feel like throwing down. He's pretty cool though. Next, you have your Photon Strike. So this is just a like a ground terminal strike. You just laser, just comes from the sky. It's a cool ability, cool damage, right? Then the bread and butter, his fourth ability, Bastille. So this ability is godly. It armor strips, and then you use it again, and it pulls enemies in, right? So Vauban's just a very nice armor stripping CC frame. Good damage, A tier frame, without a doubt. S tier if you really like his CC, but I'm still saying like A tier, right? The armor stripping, mwah. You constantly throw down some orbs, you watch everyone fight. I really like him. I don't play him as much as I could though, but the CC on his fourth is ridiculous and is a nice armor strip, right? So all in all, would recommend, good frame. Love it, love it. Hey. Next, oh, we're getting close to the end. We have Volt. So, Volt is awesome. He is a beginner frame, because like one of the beginner frames as well, Excalibur and Mag, and his abilities are sick. Just in general, he builds up electricity, and building up 10 damage per meter that unleash within the next attack. Not as great, but that's fine. First ability is also kind of whatever. It's a chain lightning that stuns some enemies kind of, because they just kind of get electrocuted. It's cool. It could be better, but I mean, like for beginners, it seems okay. But this is the thing that gets like kind of scaled out. Second ability is the best. Speed, amazing, godly. You just go fast, attack fast, reload fast. You do everything fast, essentially, right? So would recommend. It's really good. Your third ability is an electric shield. It's just straight up damage and electricity and a shield. So if you're playing more single, running around, you do that. You grab the shield and use it while you're attacking the enemies. If you're staying in one spot, you throw the shield down and shoot at the enemies. Good buff, and it's a good shield, so very, very good. And this is the meta for Eidolon hunting, 100%. Lastly, you have AoE Discharge, lol. Much like Gyre, both the electricity frames have an AoE discharge all over the enemy's face, back, and chest. So it just stuns enemies, does some sweet damage, right? Overall, good at killing and damaging. With augment mods, his kit overall gets a little better, but he does not need augment mods at all. Overall, he is an A tier frame, right? S tier for new people, maybe. S tier for Eidolons, maybe. But overall, I would say an A tier frame. Really good. You go fast, have a good shield, and you have good stuns, right? What more do you need? Doesn't need to have literally everything in the game. He just needs to have a handful of things in the game. So it's a very nice starter Warframe. Man's been around for the entirety of the game, and his kit's been strong the entirety of the game. So Volt, be volting. Ooh, we're getting near the end. So here we have Varuna. Varuna is a wolf Warframe. Her entire shtick is status and murder. Varuna never fights alone. In mission, hold abilities that call upon each wolf's unique passive. This one makes her parkour better. This ability is an invisibility, very good, and it has like a little crit multiplier type thing when you jump out. It's very nice. You have to like jump around using Shroud of Dinar on off. I really like her kit though, because it's like a go in attack, jump out invisibly, go in attack. It's like on off type, right? It's a very interesting kit, very similar to Ashe and maybe like Loki type frames. So very nice. Fangs of Raksh. So this one's pretty good. Hits enemies and applies 5 status on them. Ooh, and they get 10 stacks of it. TLDR, she is status frame, right? She gets a ton of statuses. And when they die, status spreads, right? So that's actually pretty insane. It's very good, would recommend. Wahaha, you go invisibility, bite people. Fun fact, I think biting people does not make you go uninvisible. I can't remember. It might be only auto attacking makes you go uninvisible. Or like, yeah, something like that. It's something weird like that. She is very good though in that sense. So her third ability is health and energy headshot drops, pretty much. Duration increases on kill. Nice, nice. TLDR, get a bunch of loot. Yeah, when you kill enemies with more status effects, increase. Okay, so that's pretty nice. No attacks make you break invis. Okay. Melee attacks increase. Yeah, still very strong. Would recommend. Then last but not least, an Ulfrun's Descent. Arguably her worst ability. This one has 5 charges, 5 brutal charges. Okay, calm down, Ruben. You jump at the enemies, attack them there, right? If they have more status effects on them, I think more damage is done. It's pretty cool. She's still an A tier frame for me. Maybe S tier for some, but A tier for me. I just like her kit of going in, stealthing, status affecting, and then killing enemies, right? It's really good, really strong, and it is a pretty nice kit for a new Warframe. Sorry, my dog's being a little goofball. All in all, I do like her. 4th counts as ability and is buffed from 1. Yep, 4th is a melee. So like her kit works really well together, so you wouldn't want to helmet anything off. I think they did a really good job of making her overall. So yeah, would recommend. Nice A tier Varuna, right? Next we have Wisp. Wisp is it's a pretty good frame, everybody. Flowing between dimensional Wisp, invisible to enemies while in the air. Okay. Overall, not too bad. No, you're lying down with me. You're lie down time, buddy. So she's a very good frame. Very strong. Best support frame in the game right now, right? Like without doubt. The best support frame right now. How her abilities work, pretty simple. You have your first ability, which is like a little moat reservoir. It has a couple buffs. Health increase and regen. You have a little electricity and stun. And then you have a little speed increase, right? So that's pretty godly. And you can have all of them down at once. So you can have all of the buffs, right? And the moats last forever and have an insane duration. So that's nice. Next you have Will-O-Wisp, which is like pretty much throw out a little wisp to do some distance movement. Her least useful ability, for sure, but it still has its use cases, right? It's not terrible, it's just less useful. Next you have Breach Surge, ooh, and this just does AoE damage, multiplier, and status chance increase, essentially. So, not bad, not bad. When you use this, you teleport over to a reservoir, and when you do that, like when you use it on a reservoir to teleport, doubles the range, which is insane. So really good damage multiplier there. And then her last ability is just a Kamehameha wave for like radiation heat damage, which is really cool, can kill enemies at lower levels, but you know, not as meta. So she is S tier, without a doubt. S tier purely because her freaking reservoir is so strong and useful for the entire team. Same with her Breach Surge. She just has such a simple and easy kit to use that it is pretty insane. You can constantly cast your Will-O-Wisp, teleport to it, confuse enemies, but her bread and butter is going reservoiring, breach surging to them, killing enemies, and hey, if you like Soulgate, use your Kamehameha wave, because it's really good. So, Wisp is S tier Warframe, everyone loves her, she's like #1 favorite frame, so true. All in all, would recommend. Yeah, you get 3 seconds invulnerability time when you use Will-O-Wisp, but yeah, you don't usually need it. You can just jump in the air to be invisible. She has a lot of good shticks. Now we have Wukong Prime. Okay, so here's the thing. Wukong got nerfed. Like his AI got a little nerfed, ammo on his Wukong clones got nerfed, right? But Wukong overall is still a really good Warframe. Celestial Twin is just a clone that does good damage. Boosts damage if you like target enemies, but overall it's still really good. Passive is just after taking fatal damage, he doesn't die, and then activates like 3 passives each time he dies. So he has 3 extra lives, by the way. Fun times. Cloudwalker is good movement, fast movement speed, and health regen. It's really strong and really good to get around and to stay not dead. Defy is also insane. It is damage multiplier, okay? It's a damage multiplier based on the amount of damage you take. Gives you armor, buffs, and has a pretty good radius of damage, right? So it's very strong. Last but, you know, maybe his least, is Primal Fury. It's an augmented bow staff. Does a lot of damage, all things considered, but it has overall weak like impact attacks and stuff, like puncture, right? So it could be better, could be worse. People, I think, don't like it as much as other exalted weapons, but he's still very strong in that regard. His overall kit is very strong. His augments are pretty decent, but he doesn't really need them. Overall, Wukong is thrown in as an S tier Warframe, okay? The reason why he's more S tier is the dude just straight up is GOAT for mid-low tier players and even endgame players for the most part. You can just auto kill everything very easily, constantly health regenerate with a pretty much near max Defy, right? Constantly just kill enemies, hit them back, cloud walk around, and your clone still kills everything. Defy works in conjunction with the clone, so you have double Defy with the clone. It's all just so good. He's S tier and just really good for most players because of that. So I mean, like, hey, would recommend. Should probably play him. You get him from a clan, so he's really easy, right? Ruben, your little butt's falling off the chair, buddy. Oh well, he's a goober. Okay, next up we have Zaku. So Zaku is an interesting frame. Very, very nice times, right? So here, damage reduction on AoE attacks, chance to avoid incoming damage. Nice. Zata's Whisper is void damage buff to weapons. Fucking sweet. Would recommend. You have Grasp of the Lock. Sick tendrils come out, and you just steal weapons from enemies, and they shoot void shots. Very strong as well. Very good auto turrets, just go to you. Need hydration, right? Then you have the Lost. Good buffs, defense reduction on enemies is the best one, I would say. But there's a lot of different things it can do. Damage, defense reduction, right? Just like CC in general. So, would recommend, 10 out of 10. Last, we have the Vast Untine. Oh my god, this is when he becomes skeleton. Yeah, it's weird, okay? He just becomes pretty hype. He just runs around, dodges stuff, did a little AoE, ability durations freeze, so yeah, he's a good frame. You should use him. He's actually S tier at this point, maybe A tier depending on what you like, but with how his kit works, you constantly steal weapons, defense reduction all the enemies, stun them, and then just kill them. It's insane. And you always have your like void damage buff on too, so you do friggin' void damage. Little strong. That's what we get for making this amalgamation of a Warframe. So I would say S tier on ya boy Zaku. Ureli, okay. Controversial Ureli take. They updated and buffed her a lot, right? So now how she works is she is a Warframe that stays on a K drive, essentially. Has insane crit chance on her secondary weapon, and you always have to be moving. Her first ability is pretty cool because it does damage vulnerability and some CC, but other than that, meh, you have to cast a lot. I don't like it as much, but it's really good now compared to how it was. Like, Ureli's pretty strong now if you like her kit. Her second one, Merlina, it has 90% damage reduction, technically, but it sucks. But it sucks. Oh my god. Because you have to be on a K drive. It has health, some invulnerability when you spawn it, but it's annoying. Aqua Blades, in theory, is okay, but they kind of suck because enemies have to get close to you and get hit a lot with them, and it's a little unnecessary, but they do decent enough slash damage, so overall, pretty good, not bad. Last, you have Riptide. This can be used to do some damage to the enemies, okay? And it can be used to CC them. It could be better. It's still kind of weak. I think for most people, Ureli's probably like C tier, maybe B tier. For me, she is F tier, okay? I'm still saying Ureli is F tier. It just sucks so much using her K drive. Her abilities are decent, but they don't seem to mesh too well. Because with Aqua Blades, you have to get close to enemies, which means you're just taking too much damage, which will get Merlina and yourself killed. But then you have to run close enough to snare them. And then you have to also constantly Riptide them and move around. So yeah, she's like probably CB for most people, but she is F for me. I hate her, and I will always dislike her. Wahaha. So get wrecked, Ureli. Last but not least is Zephyr. Zephyr Prime, everyone. Zephyr's actually a really strong Warframe. Actually insanely strong. Zephyr moves fast and falls slower while airborne. Also gains 150% critical hit chance while airborne. So you're gonna be, with Zephyr, always in the air, okay? Tailwind is just flying around and then dive bombing. This is good for speed, does some damage, not really necessary, but the main thing is this keeps you in the air. I think you hold it to stay in the air, right? So that is what that is mainly for. The drain per second, you definitely want efficiency because of that sweet, sweet tailwind drain. Air burst, okay? So this one is mainly for some CC, okay? I'm not gonna lie. This one's mainly for CC. Pulls enemies around in. The damage increases the more you hit them, but that doesn't really matter, okay? Mainly for CC, small CC. Turbulence is always active, okay? Creates a windshield around Zephyr, redirecting all incoming projectiles. So you just fly in the air and nothing can hit you. That is how you work with Zephyr. He is invincible, in theory, if you properly are moving around, flying around in the air with your turbulence on. It's so stupid. I love, like, look at that. The laser beams are just like, nope. So that's how that works. Last but not least, you have Tornado. This one's actually sick. It's just tornadoes go around doing some damage to enemies. You can shoot the tornadoes and it hurts the enemies, increases damage, and I think they like take over the status type of whatever shot. Yeah, Zephyr's a she. Sorry, I always say he because Zephyr in my mind is a guy's name. I don't know. You know what? No, Zephyr's a guy. Wait, is Zephyr a she? Yes, okay, Zephyr is a she. For some reason though, Zephyr is a he in my mind. Never forget. Either way, I would say Zephyr is pretty solidly A tier. Can be damn near invincible. Would probably be S tier if Zephyr had more damage growths, right? But still very strong overall as a Warframe, and definitely A tier. The crit chance on the passive is really nice and the best damage increase, but maybe if Zephyr had hardcore armor strip or hardcore damage increases or some weird shtick like that, be a little higher, but still insanely strong as an A tier Warframe and very hard to kill. So would recommend you use Zephyr without a doubt. every single time if you want to. But everyone, that looks like we have rated and tier listed all of the Warframes. Let me know what you think. I know a lot of people disagree, a lot of people agree with some of my takes, and that's okay. It is what it is. As always, if you want to be nice, you can support the channel using Epic Game Store, creator code Pupsker. If you ever use the Epic Game Store and buy anything on there, it always helps after all. The video here should be up on a Saturday. Try to get it up for a Saturday at least, because why not, right? But just daily reminder, again, Warframes, they're all usably good if you like them, right? It doesn't matter if something tier lists me high or low, right? You can still use it, and it's still good if you like it. Don't worry too much. These tier lists are more for fun, for my opinion, and based on like general Warframe gameplay. Some will agree, some will disagree, and that's all fine. Check out all my socials, all links in the description. I got a YouTube, Twitch, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook. I created a Kick account to stream there as a meme, but I'm probably not going to stream there too much. So yeah, appreciate everyone being here on this video. Yeah, cheers.